3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a very busy and really a big Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X at Zach Gelb. That's ZachGelb. I got Stu Kovacs. I got Ryan Botcher here. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. The head football coach at Army, Jeff Monken's going to stop by 20 minutes from now. Ryan Hickey in studio at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And also Xavier Guillory of the Arizona State Sun Devils, the Big 12 champs. He's going to stop by at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific today. So a whole lot to do It's been a really crazy and hectic day here behind the scenes. I'm not going to tell you what award I did win. I'll say that later, but I did win an award, and I had to get in here today. I usually try to get into the office by 1 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, somewhere in that time frame. I had to get into the office today at 11:15 a.m. Eastern time, and I'd take a lot of photos. A lot of people thought I was either coming from a funeral or I was going to a job interview, because I had a sports coat on, a dress shirt on, then I had to have another dress shirt on, then I had to wear this collared shirt. There was a lot of photos from this studio to a studio down the hall, then a photo of me sitting in a chair in front of a backdrop, and then another thing. So there was a whole lot cooking today behind the scenes. But we are live, we are ready to go, and we are rocking and rolling right here on the Zach Gelb Show. So while I was taking some of these photos, I glanced at my phone and I saw from inside Carolina, UNC is finalizing deal to land Bill Belichick as the new head football coach. Then in the last 20 minutes, Jonathan Jones, NFL and CBS insider, North Carolina is nearing a deal to make Bill Belichick its next head coach. Sources tell NFL on CBS nothing has been finalized, but there's a growing sentiment within UNC that the deal is done. Adam Schefter of the ESPN. North Carolina is working to try to close a deal with Bill Belichick to make the 6-time Super Bowl champion the Tar Heels coach. But sources told ESPN there are still issues that both sides need to work through. Pete Thamel is in on that reporting as well, and Chris Lowe. Here's where we're at right now. Barring Belichick leaving UNC at the altar, which we've seen him do before. Many years ago, he was the Jet coach. I resigned as HC of the NYJ, and then he became the greatest NFL coach, or arguably the greatest NFL coach of all time, and went on a run of 2 decades of excellence, winning 6 Super Bowl championships with the New England Patriots. And we've seen this before. Will Bill is as great of a coach that he is, he could also be a jerk at times. So is there any alternative motive here? I thought at first, most of us were kind of the thinking, oh, Bill's using UNC where he's interested because of maybe the family dynamic of it. And I don't know if his son, Steve Belichick, is definitely going to be his DC, and then Steve Belichick's going to be the coach in waiting at UNC. But all those things have kind of been talked about. We have dissected that the last few days. But at first, I think the majority sentiment was, okay, Bill's using UNC where he would be interested and he would take the UNC job, but he's going to send out a little signal to the NFL. This is your last chance to talk to my people behind the scenes and say, hey, Bill, maybe you should rethink going to UNC. Hey, Bill, maybe you shouldn't go to UNC because I don't know. I'm Shad Khan of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just wait a few weeks. Wink, wink. We'll make you the head football coach. And I guess none of that has happened. And Bill is someone, because I do believe there's a lot of people that will say, Bill, you're 72. Bill, you've won 6 Super Bowls. Bill, why are you going to go to college? Isn't college beneath Bill Belichick? Well, if you're saying that, I don't think you really know Bill Belichick. And I've said this week, and I'll say it again. If, let's say, Bill didn't get UNC right in a room and talk to him, and let's say no college job ever materialized, and let's say when the Giants open, if they do, the Jaguars, the Saints who are already open, we know he wouldn't go to the Jets. We know the Bears are too cheap to hire Bill Belichick. But let's say that another cycle happened in the NFL and Bill was shut out. You want to know where Bill's going to be coaching because Bill's addicted to college? He'd be coaching like at Foxborough High or somewhere. I really do believe Bill Belichick, if he didn't get an NFL job this cycle, if no college job ever materialized, that he would go coach in high school. Because there's just certain coaches that just absolutely positively are addicted to this, and it doesn't matter how many times they win. It doesn't matter how much success they've had, and they'll be recognized in the annals of football history as one of the greatest coaches of all time. This is just what they do, and this is all that they know how to do. Even if it sacrifices relationships with family members and significant others, it doesn't matter. Bill is a lifer, and nothing gets Bill going like coaching football. So I look at this move, and now it's not, hey, is it going to happen? It's just going to be what time today or what time tomorrow are we going to get the announcement from UNC or Schefter or Rappaport or Inside Cat, like whatever the site is that's going to say this is done. But I think most of us realized in the last 24 to 48 hours that this wasn't something that Bill was just throwing out there. And this wasn't only something that Bill was using to try to gain leverage in the NFL. Bill was serious about this. And yes, there was maybe some last-ditch efforts that he was hoping was going to happen, and I guess none of it happened. And that's another part of this dynamic, because I'm going to defend Bill Belichick here. I think sometimes we're prisoners of the moment, and some guy could go have over a 2-decade run where everyone was afraid of him and everyone said he is king, and then it gets ugly at the end, and we let what happens at the end change our opinion on that person. You know, if you think Bill Belichick can't win without Tom Brady, you're out of your mind. And this is coming from someone who hates the Belichick versus Brady conversation. I hate it. I despise it. Outside of Jordan up against LeBron, my least favorite talking point is Brady up against Belichick. And I'm even someone for years that said Tom's more important than Bill. Because even though Bill is really important, even Bill says when he wins championships, it's all about the players. You know, it's all about the players. Players win championships. Coaches just lose them. That's what Bill says. But this idea, just because Brady won without Belichick in Tampa Bay, that Bill is some bum, is ridiculous. It is. The guy won a playoff game with the Cleveland Browns, right? When he was the coach with the Browns. Bill Belichick had an 11-win season with Matt Castle. Bill Belichick had Mac frickin' Jones, who sucks in the pros, in a playoff game year one. So would Bill have won a Super Bowl as a head coach without Brady? That I don't know. Right? I don't. Could he have found another quarterback? Yeah, I think he could have. But Brady wouldn't have won 6 Super Bowls in New England without Bill. And Bill wouldn't have won 6 Super Bowls in New England without Tom. But this idea that people go, oh, Bill would never be able to get another head coaching job in the NFL, and if he does, it would be a disaster. And the fact that there are other NFL owners that listen to that, shame on them. And you know what? Shame on you, Arthur Blank, today. You could have had Bill freaking Belichick this offseason. But Arthur Blank acted like a coward because he wanted to hire Bill Belichick, but the people that he works with were like, ooh, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, so we're just going to damage the reputation of Bill Belichick, which is just ridiculous. So go enjoy Raheem Morris. Go enjoy your quarterback situation right now, which is not a good one, where you paid a king's ransom to get Kirk Cousins, and you also drafted Michael Penix Jr., and there's a chance now the Atlanta Falcons, who a few weeks ago were a shoo-in to win the NFC South, they don't even win the NFC South. So go look how that worked out for Atlanta by passing up on Bill Belichick. You know, because I'll tell you this, Bill Belichick will do something that, hey, Arthur Smith couldn't do and Raheem Morris couldn't do. And that's, I don't know, use a talent like Bijan Robinson the right way. So shame on Arthur Blank, and also shame on guys like Shad Khan or whoever else is in the NFL right now that knows they're going to hire a coach in a few weeks and that they didn't call Bill and say, hey, Bill, we're really interested in you. And this idea that Bill's going to be a failure in college, based off what? Like, I know he's never coached in college, but he's Bill Belichick. And what do? We sat here for the last 2 years, and I've given universal praise to Coach Prime and Deion Sanders. And people now say, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing up Deion Sanders in just a second. People will now say, oh, well, Bill's not going to love recruiting. Bill's not going to recruit. No, Bill's going to sit in his office. He's going to hire a team that does all the recruiting trips. And then when you go make a visit to Chapel Hill, that's when you'll go sit next to Bill Belichick and talk to Bill Belichick. And where else does that happen? Oh, I don't know, Boulder, Colorado? Have we ever seen a photo of Coach Prime on a jet going to some kid's living room? No. The kids go to Coach Prime. And even Deion has admitted that. So this idea that because Bill won't be actively recruiting, and who knows if he will or won't. Like, I do believe that Bill's going to hire a team to do the majority of the recruiting, but can I see Bill getting so addicted where he's like, I want to prove everybody wrong, that he's going to go get in a private jet to go talk to a recruit? Yeah, I think so. And I was just talking to Channing Crowder about 15 minutes ago. And I said to Channing, like, you may think Bill's a jerk. You may think Bill's a bad dude. But would you want your son to go play for Bill if your goal is to have your son be in the NFL? He's like, absolutely. He's like, I used to say about Nick Saban at Alabama. Like, yeah, Nick Saban at times could be a turd. This is what Channing said. And he's not necessarily all that wrong. But he knows he's going to get great coaching. And I think that's very important. And Bill won't be for everybody. He won't. Just like how Coach Prime isn't for everybody. But you know when you go to Colorado, you know if this happens, and it looks like it is going to happen, that Bill Belichick, if you go to Chapel Hill, you're going to get great coaching. You're going to get coaching at a professional level in college that gets you ready for the NFL. Now, am I going to sit here and say that Bill is definitely going to win an ACC championship? No, I'm not. Does he have a chance to maybe win an ACC championship? Yeah. The ACC is not this big force. You know, Clemson and Dabo Swinney, they're still the standard. You know, you look at Miami, they had a good season. Last year, Florida State had a good season. Can you replicate it? You know, Pitt with Narduzzi, they always have a solid team. SMU, congratulations, right? Making the college football playoff, even though Clemson won the ACC championship game. So the ACC is good, but it's not as if Bill Belichick, with Mac Brown, who's a college football legend, and that program that he took over at the end with Larry Fedora, it was very ugly. And I know that you have the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, and programs change very quickly. But it's not like the program that Bill's taken over is this miserable spot. Like Bill Belichick, I could confidently say, without even knowing what his roster will look like or what his coaching staff will look like, he'll be able, just on his coaching alone, to be bowl eligible, 6 wins in year 1 at UNC. And I don't know how long he's going to do this. He's 72. He turned 73 in a little bit. You know, maybe it's 3-4 years, and then he hands it over to his son, Steve Belichick. You know, that's what it seems like this is going to be. But this idea that people are so adamant and they're so skeptical, and they're like, oh, this is a terrible move for Bill. Yeah, I'd rather see Bill in the NFL as well. But it may be humiliating as people may view it. I don't think Bill cares about that. Bill has never cared about what you or what I have thought. Bill wants to coach. And when Bill Belichick coaches and he has a chip on his shoulder, he does a pretty damn good job. And I think Bill Belichick, depending on how you view success, if you think he's winning a national championship at UNC, then you're a dope. All right? That's not a fair expectation. But can Bill go be a 7-8 win consistent team? Yeah, I think he can. You know, can he go be in an ACC championship one year? Yeah, I think he can, depending on how long he wants to do it. And depending on what talent he scouts and the guys that his recruiters bring in, you know, I think he can. So anyone sitting there that says this is going to be an unmitigated disaster based off what? Just your hatred on Bill because he tortured your NFL team for 20 years? Because that's what it seems like. Or you just don't like him, right? That's what it seems like. I'm not saying there isn't a risk. And, hey, you could argue at UNC, Zach, if you just said Bill's going to be winning 7-8 games a year, then why'd they get rid of Mac Brown? Totally fair argument. But UNC got rid of Mac Brown. They tried to get Summerall from Tulane. That didn't happen. And then Bill called him and Bill wanted the job. And that was the moment when I thought that this thing had legs and that this was more realistic than I thought. When we even had Cole Kublik on the other day and we were talking about this, I said, if it's not Bill, where does UNC go? And Cole Kublik is as plugged in and watches more college football than anybody, and he basically didn't have an answer of a name. So that shows, and Cole talks to a lot of people, that once UNC, and I thought there was going to be some dope, some board of trustee member that was going to sit there and he was going to prevent this because he didn't want Bill to basically tell him what to do with that 400-page manifesto that he sent him and how he'd run his program. I thought maybe some people at UNC would say, nah, we don't want to do this. But it seems like UNC is just as interested in Bill Belichick as Bill Belichick is as interested in UNC. So I guess we are in the stage now where they will cross all the T's, they will dot all the I's, and Bill Belichick, who would have ever thought that? If you would have told me a month and a half ago, if you would have called me up at 855-212-4227, and you would have said, Zach, you know, I got a crazy idea. Bill Belichick at UNC. I wonder how long it would have taken me to laugh you off the phone. Seriously. I would have never thought that would have been a possibility. Even when we first heard about it, I thought Bill was using UNC. But the way that this has continued to go on, the last day or two, I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. So shame on the NFL for not getting Bill back in the NFL. And also, if you're Bill, it's an interesting move. It creates intrigue. It, puts UNC in more of the national spotlight. And I think Bill could be successful at UNC with the way that I view success of, I think he could go get 7-8 wins a year and consistently be bowl eligible. I don't think it's crazy to say that one day Bill could be coaching in an ACC championship game. But if you call me and say, oh, Zach, Bill will never win a national championship at UNC, well, yeah, no bleep, Sherlock. That's not the expectation for anybody. So, assuming this gets done, what do you think about Bill Belichick looking like he's going to UNC? Take a time out. Jeff Monken, the head football coach of Army, is going to join us next. Army-Navy coming up on Saturday. We will be live in D.C. on Friday, broadcasting from USAA Army-Navy Radio Row. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Alrighty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We know Army has won the American Athletic Conference. We're going to be heading down to D.C. We'll be doing our show live Friday from USAA Army Navy Radio Row. And then you have the big game between Army and Navy on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And now joining us is head football coach at Army, and that, of course, is Coach Jeff Monken. Coach, congratulations. Appreciate the time, and how you been?
Great. Appreciate the opportunity to be on with you.
So what does it mean to you, now having a few days to process it, knowing you were able to deliver Army an American Athletic Conference championship?
I'm just so proud of our team, proud of the players and the coaches and the effort that everybody put into that. Playing in a conference championship game is intense. It's emotional. It's exciting. The opportunity to win a championship. And for so many years here, we've been an independent football team and really have played for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, which is a championship for us. And frankly, there is no championship that equals the CIC championship for us. But that was really exciting. Our guys have played really well, and they just played a particularly good game on Friday night against what I thought was a great team. Tulane's got an excellent football team. Yeah,
I went to Temple, so I have a few American Athletic Conference roots, but I know when you first got there, right, in 2014, 2015, you guys had 6 total wins those first 2 years. Now you're sitting there 11-1. You know, you could have 13 by the end of this football season. There's been some good moments. There's been some moments of resiliency, and you guys keep on getting off the mat and having consistent seasons. Just how do you look back at the earlier days to now with what you've been able to do with the program?
Those were all building blocks. So those were foundational pieces that needed to be put into place in order for us to get where we wanted to as a program. And those first 2 teams, I give those guys a lot of credit. They suffered through some really difficult afternoons, disappointments, but man, they worked hard. And the thing about the guys in this program, they always answered the bell. And I've pushed them, and I've demanded a lot out of the people in this program, particularly our players. But they've always answered the bell. And those first 2 teams, though the records didn't show the results we had hoped for, I could tell that there was growth and improvement going on in our program. And then by the 3rd year, we made a bowl game and won a bowl game and went on a really good run. But it was all built off of those first teams. And I've been so proud of our team to be able to continue that, and the guys in our program to be able to continue the success, because it's hard to win and it's hard to continue to win, to sustain success. It's very challenging, but our guys have managed to do that at a pretty good level here.
People knew you guys were going to be a good team entering this season. I don't know if people thought you guys would be 11-1 at this stage. What type of team, just curious, Coach Jeff Monken, did you think you had when you go back to the summer?
I really liked our team. I thought the building blocks for this season started last November. There was a determination in our team, and we had really good leadership in our locker room a year ago. We had strong captains. We had lost some tough games through the middle of the season last year, and our guys never wavered. And we won the first weekend in November over Air Force, and we won the rest of the games that year, recaptured the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, which is a huge source of pride for our team, and then carried it into the offseason, and really felt like in the offseason there was a determination and a confidence that we could be better. and our senior class, man, just what a great group of guys and what terrific leaders we've got in that class. And that carried into the spring practice, the summer workouts, preseason camp. And by that time, I felt like we had a chance to at least be competitive with all the teams we were going to play. It's a really strong offensive line. I think everybody on our staff really felt like we had a good offensive line. As it turns out, I think this is the best offensive line on any team I've ever been a part of. They're really good and really tough, and they've paved the way for our offense, certainly. But defensively, the way that those guys continue to come up with plays, and we're not particularly talented, just those guys play really well together and they play really hard. And so we put it all together. We managed to win a lot of games there in a row. We had a setback against Notre Dame, who's got a great football team. Holy smokes, are they good. But our guys didn't flinch. We didn't let it derail us. They came back the next week and beat a really tough UTSA team, won the game on Friday night. And now we sit here, just a few days away from the biggest game of the year.
That Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, quite some player, right, Coach?
He's a great player, and he's not the only one that's a great player on that team. They got a whole bunch of them.
And you have a great player as well in Bryson Daly. We got a chance to talk with him on the show about a month and a half ago. 37 total touchdowns this year. Unbelievable player and an unbelievable person. Just what makes your quarterback so special?
One, he's a tremendous leader. I grew up a coach's kid. His grandfather was a coach. His mom was a coach. Dad is a coach. Just grew up in that life. And I think really appreciates and values being a part of a team and how he can contribute to a team. So he's a great leader from that standpoint, very unselfish and very humble. But he's also very demanding of the other people around him. Now, he's strong and rugged and tough. And we've seen everybody watched him play all year, and just what he's done as the quarterback for our team. He's had a tremendous football season, but all of the other things that he brings that you want a quarterback to have in the locker room, in the huddle, in the workouts, he's all of those things too. So I think that compels everybody else on our team to want to do better and to fight harder and to play their best. To play their best.
And he told me that his family, no military background, and he didn't know if he was going to go to Army. And then he fell in love with the place when he came on his visit. Obviously this isn't for everyone. It takes a different commitment to commit to your program, and you have to be a special person. Were you surprised when he ended up saying, "Hey, Coach, this is the road that I want to travel and I want to be a part of this program"?
I don't know that I'm ever surprised that a guy says that. I think there are young men and women all over this country who have a spirit to serve. And sometimes they don't realize that burns inside of them. They sometimes just need an invitation and say, let me show you what you can do with the spirit and the leadership skills that you have. And I think that opportunity to serve others appeals to some people. And I think the opportunity here to be challenged, to lead, to know that they're going to be in a leadership position when they graduate and have an opportunity to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, something that's really special in a way that will be a source of pride for them and for their family. Some guys that appeals to them. And we never know who those guys are going to be as we introduce this place to prospects. But he was one of them, and he's just got a great family. He's a great kid. I'm glad he's on our team, and he's going to be a bang-up Army officer. He's just going to be terrific.
Love it. Coach Jeff Monken here with us, Army and Navy obviously coming up on Saturday. I saw in the last rankings, you guys were 22 in the college football playoff. We know the Heisman Trophy is going to be presented on Saturday. Bryson isn't a finalist. Just with those two topics not getting more consideration, is it a little bit disappointment, or do you kind of understand it?
Oh, it is what it is. We don't make those decisions. We can't control it. All we can do is play the best we can, try to win the games that are put in front of us, and maximize who we can be, and hope that's good enough. And other people are tasked with making those decisions. They're not easy decisions, but certainly for Bryson, the year he's had, I had really hoped that he would have an opportunity to just be at the table with the guys down at the Downtown Athletic Club. He's had just a marvelous year. I think he's one of the best players in college football. He's at least as valuable to our team as any player in college football is to theirs. And for that, I thought he deserves an opportunity. But the numbers, it's hard to argue with the numbers. I mean, he's rushed for a lot of yards, thrown for a lot of yards, accounted for a lot of touchdowns, and there's not many times in the history of college football that an academy player has the kind of season that he has had, and can be a legitimate candidate for the biggest individual award in college football. And I think this is one of those times. He certainly had the numbers to back it up, and I don't know that anybody would have felt like he was out of place based on the statistics that he's had. And if you just turn the film on and watch him, turn the TV on Saturday afternoons and watch him, most people would agree.
So we have the jersey in the studio, right? We got the Army jersey here. We're ready for the game coming up on Saturday. Just What are the emotions? Because I know all throughout the year it's go Army, beat Navy. So how about the emotions before this one?
It is. It's an emotional game. It always is. What we've got to be very conscious of is not allowing the emotion of the game to stand in the way of the execution that needs to happen. And that's really what we're focusing on, is trying to do a great job of executing our assignments and fundamentals. And we're going to have to do it as well as we've done it all year if we're going to have a chance to win. So just excited about the opportunity to be on a national stage and have the college football world all with their eyes on this Army-Navy game. Is going to be fantastic.
Last thing I want to ask you, Coach Jeff Monken, has nothing to do with your program, but I would love your insight just because of the fact you've been doing this for a while and you've had a lot of success. There's a report out there from inside Carolina that UNC and Bill Belichick are now finalizing a deal for Bill to be the head coach. How do you think a guy that's won 6 Super Bowls, the legend that is Bill Belichick, will do in the college game?
Winners win, and he's certainly an outstanding coach. What a career he's had. And so, if that's the case, they're getting a great football coach and guys that know how to win and guys that compete like he did for so long and has for so long. They know how to do it. So I wish him well. If that's the case, I certainly wish him well.
Well, Coach, we wish you well. Good luck coming up on Saturday. Appreciate you jumping on board with us today, and good luck.
Thanks a lot. Be Navy.
There you go. Jeff Monken joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Marco Belletti, El Capitan, is here. We'll get an update for him in just a bit. But now it looks like this thing's going to happen. I know we were talking about it yesterday. As long as the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, Trey Boston, who played for UNC and the Carolina Panthers as well, he said, word is I'm hearing it's done. Bill to Chapel Hill. So I think we're just waiting for Schefter, Rappaport, someone to say that it's done with, even though most have already chimed in and said that, hey, this is pretty much on the 1 yard line. Let's just see if Pete Carroll says, hey, let's throw the football and have this thing picked off.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We still got it. There's a couple of things that they still need to finalize from the account. So, and part of that is, money. So let's see if it's 100% done. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised from Belichick's standpoint, but I guess he just wants to coach. I didn't look. Can he win there? I'm not saying he can't. Do I think he's going to be the heavy guy sitting in the living room recruiting? No, I don't buy that, but I don't think he needs to.
No, yeah.
It's about money, and it's
Coach
about
Prime doesn't do that. I was saying that earlier.
And not for nothing. Look, if you tell me Bill Belichick can't out-scheme coaches and get to the ACC championship if you give him talent, I mean, you need your head examined if you don't think he can do that.
They will consistently be. I know that they've been this. But under Mac Brown, they'll consistently be a bowl-eligible team. And can there be a year where they go pull off 9 wins and they're in the ACC championship? I think so. No one's saying Bill's winning a national championship, because no one's saying that an ACC team is winning a national championship. I know Dabo had his run, and Dabo's back in the playoff because he won the ACC. But we have 2 teams from the ACC in the playoff. No one's making the case for SMU or Clemson to win this entire thing in a 12-team playoff.
No, and again, we'll find out as we go down that road. But if it gets to that point, do I expect him in an ACC championship soon? I do. Yeah. Because if they give him talent, he's going to outsmart you. He's going to out-scheme you. That's not a knock on coaches. He's the best to ever do it. That's what Belichick made his bread and butter on, was he knows how to take away your best aspect, and he knows how to be able to highlight what he does. He doesn't always have the most talent, but he's smarter than you most of the time. So if you give him enough talent in the college game, good chance he's going to out-scheme you. And then we'll see where it goes. Does that lead to a national title? Maybe not, but could it lead to the playoff? Yeah, I could see Belichick in North Carolina being in the playoff very easily. If this gets done and if they put the money in that they, I'm assuming, would have to, otherwise Belichick wouldn't do it.
Here's the other part, too. And I feel confident, obviously, that this is going to get done. And I've been saying this since yesterday. Where else is UNC going? John Summerall already, right, had the agreement with Tulane. They thought he was going to be the candidate. Cole Kublik, who I talked about this in the first segment, he is as plugged in as anybody with college football, right? Does the show in Alabama, on Jocks FM, SEC Network. And I asked him this the other day, I go, if it's not Bill at this stage and Summerall's out, like, who is it? And there's no answer there.
No,
and we're already late in the process to hire a college coach.
That's definitely part of it. And look, you can't do better than Belichick. Look, I realize that it's a Band-Aid, that it's only 3 or 4 years, but to put the program on the map the way he could do in the 3 years, that 4 years, 5 years that he's there is worth it for all those things. And I don't think they have another option by any stretch. To me, this was more of Belichick. I didn't see the negative for North Carolina in any way. Mm-hmm. I see the negative for Belichick in the simple fact of he has to minimum do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we look at the end of his career and you go, it fell apart with New England when Brady was gone. He goes to North Carolina. He can't even win the college game. And is that the way you want a 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach to have his career wind up? That's what I didn't want. I didn't want the downside of if he goes 5-7 in North Carolina after 3 years, or 3-9 or 5-7, like it tarnishes somewhat of the reputation. Will we remember 20 years from now? No, we're going to forget about it. But in the short term, I don't want to see him have that part of his resume. I don't see the upside. I only see the downside.
Here's the weird part to me, though. They just got rid of Mac Brown, right? Legendary college coach who restored UNC, made him bowl eligible consistently again. Because, right, they felt like he did everything he could. Older coach, time to move on. I know Bill is a 6-time winning Super Bowl champion, but you're now bringing in another old coach, and we're talking about, maybe they could get to an ACC championship game, but probably they're going to be like a 8-win team a year in college football. And Mac Brown, the second chapter UNC was 7-6, 8-4, 6-7, 9-5, 8-5, and 6-6. It's funny to me that Bill ends up being the guy after they moved on for Mac for all those reasons.
Fair, but I think the expectations for Belichick is more than that.
What do you think?
I think it's a minimum ACC championship.
In year one?
Why not? Why not?
Does I know it's
as
UNC
long as they
with
put
Belichick.
the money in. As long as they put the money in and they give him talent, he got can coach.
Sure.
Guy can coach. And the conference is. I'm not telling you he's got to go to an SEC championship.
No.
He's got to go to an ACC championship.
I'm not saying that the ACC is that strong, but you still got Clemson. Fran Brown has done a good job at Syracuse. SMU is now in the college football playoff.
Understand.
Pitt always has a pulse. Maybe Miami's able to make this consistent thing. Norvell with the bounce back.
Right.
I just don't walk into this. I agree with you. I think he can eventually get to an ACC championship game. In year one, I kind of think it's for
year
a guy
one,
that's
year
never
two?
done college. I would say like 8 wins, and I
Year
would be
one or
very
year
happy.
two, I don't think it would be. I don't think it takes longer than that, and I don't expect it to take longer than that.
Well, it could change very quickly now because of the transfer portal.
And less than that, I think would be a problem.
Okay.
And I can't see how many players in a transfer portal, on a scholarship, whatever it is, you're going to turn down the opportunity to play for Belichick. They know the curmudgeon, but they also saw the guy that was on media this year, so they see the lighter side of it. And you're telling me he can make all those players win Super Bowls? He can't help me.
So I think that former players, kids,
are going to flock there.
Are going to go there because
Flock.
you're going to get professional coaching. Mm-hmm. I do think there are some athletes nowadays, college athletes, that they just care about the most money, which is their right, and I have no problem with it.
Fair.
And there are a lot of sensitive college athletes that, just like Dion, because Dion is an old school football coach, and I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. They may not be able to take that level of coaching that Bill gives you, where I don't want them on my team to begin with then, but I could see why some people be rubbed off by Bill.
But they won't know that until they actually experience it, because they'll fool themselves that that's not going to be me. It's for other people, but not for me. As long as the money is there and they see it as a pipeline to get to the NFL, which is the ultimate goal for every one of these players, there is no downside to play for Belichick.
You think Brady cuts an NIL check for his old football coach?
I'm sure Bill calls. I'm sure he's calling a lot of former players to see what kind of money he can get. I don't know if you're going to get it out of some of them. I don't know.
Don't call Asante Samuel.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many rivalries they're going to turn away, but there's a lot of reservoirs that I'm sure Bill is going to tap into and be like, hey, remember that time that I helped you out with this? Let's see if we can get something here.
Robert Kraft. I know we had an ugly ending, but how about a few million?
That call, I don't know if he's making.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. We'll do a little college football championship draft. 12 teams. Stu will pick 6. I will pick 6 to win it all. Update time first. Here is El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And Zach, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. The ball is in his court. That's the latest reports regarding Bill Belichick, North Carolina marriage. As reports say, there's still issues to work out, but that the Board of Trustees on board with the hire for North Carolina. So we'll see if the 6-time Super Bowl winner with the Patriots, who's never coached in college, might just be on his way to Chapel Hill. White Sox reportedly sent starting pitcher Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox in exchange for 4 prospects, so Boston getting the ace they desire. NBA Cup rolls on, second half of the quarterfinals. Knicks taking on the Hawks with the right to face the Bucks. Then it's the Warriors and Rockets. Steve Kerr taking this seriously despite the tournament being in its infancy.
This cup is really an interesting addition, to the season. Our guys are excited. I think in year 2, it feels like there's a little more momentum than last year. People know what it is, obviously.
Winner of the Warriors and Rockets will take on the Thunder in the semifinals. And Raptors forward Scotty Barnes likely out several weeks, that with a sprained ankle. The Raptors were just 2-9 when Barnes missed 11 games earlier this season, that with a fractured orbital bone. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, and it's time to ask the pros. You, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. 12 teams in the college football playoffs, Stu. We got about 4 or 5 minutes here, so let's quickly do this. We'll do a snake draft, 6 teams each, 12 total teams in the college football playoff. I will start first. I'll go number 1. I think it makes it easier for you because then you get 2 and 3. You know, I think 2 and 3, I know we feel Oregon against the field, it's Oregon, but I feel like then after that, that's where it gets a little hairy.
That's fair.
I'll go Oregon 1.
Okay, great. I will go with Georgia. I think they have the second best chance. And for my second pick, I hate picking this coach. I don't like picking this team, and I also don't love that their route of getting there, but I think Ohio State has a lot of talent. I would go Ohio State right after Georgia.
Now, if you are Tennessee, we'll get to this story later, but don't plant a flag on their field afterwards. It could start a brawl, and if the political world moves as quickly as it usually never does, but maybe if it does, that could end up being a felony. More on that story coming up later. So Georgia, Ohio State off the board for Stu. I took Oregon. Now I get 2 picks. I'm going to go. This is where it gets tricky. I'm going to go Notre Dame and man, I think Texas and Penn State are so fraudulent. I do. I'm probably going to reach here. I'm going to go Tennessee. I'm going to take the Volunteers. Would you have taken the Volunteers if I would have took Texas there? Just wondering.
If you would have, I would have taken Tennessee. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Ahead of Texas.
Gotcha. You probably should have just said no. It would have got me a ring. So I have Oregon, Notre Dame, Tennessee. You have Georgia, Ohio State. Now you get 2 picks.
All right. I will go Texas. I still think there's talent there. I agree they're kind of fraudulent, but at the same time, I do think if they get everything together, they could be a team that gets very far and could possibly win it. Now I think there's the line of teams. Now I really don't think they can win it all, but obviously we're picking teams in order here. I guess Penn State, based off of their path, when they have the SMU matchup and then Boise, Boise. I just think Penn State, at least looking at their path, I kind of like their path, so I'll pick them next.
Okay, I said it yesterday. I think either Boise State or Arizona State, one of those teams are going to go to the Final Four. I don't know which one, but I think one of them will. And I do think one of them will pick off either Texas or Penn State, because I do think Texas will be Clemson and Penn State will be SMU. So let's get crazy here. I'll take both Cinderellas and the bye teams, which is crazy to say that they're Cinderellas, but that's just the way the format is. I'll go Arizona State and Boise State. So you have two more picks, and then I take whoever you do not select.
Yeah, and for the record, I would have picked Boise and Arizona State where you did. So we were pretty spot on that. So that leaves Indiana, Clemson, and SMU. I will go Indiana. I think the coach is great. And again, if they can somehow get past Notre Dame and Georgia, which is going to be really tough, but you never know. And then after that, I'll go Clemson with my second pick. So that leaves you with SMU.
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy. I thought Clemson would have gone a little bit earlier. Personally, even though Clemson has not been great this year, they still won the ACC. I would trust if somehow we got Clemson, Indiana in a championship game. Oh, my God, this would be drunk. I would take Clemson. And if we got Clemson, SMU in the championship game, I would take Clemson as well. So I do agree with you. I think out of all the teams in the college football playoff, SMU is probably the team I feel least confident in to win a championship. And that's just the way that the cookie crumbles. So that's the championship draft right there. My final selections: Oregon, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Arizona State, Boise State, SMU. What a six-pack of picks right there. Interesting. Stu has Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, and Clemson. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, Ryan Hot Take Hickey is going to join us in studio. He's been spewing around hot takes all throughout the week. A man that told us he was never going to get too high with Penn State this year. I don't know if he'll have the stones to say it on the air. Or maybe his opinion changed and maybe he came to his good senses in the last 24 hours. But yesterday, at around this time, I talked to him in the newsroom, and he told me he thinks Penn State's going to the championship game.
Hot Take Hickey.
The national championship game, to be clear. So we'll talk to Hot Take Hickey next, get his thoughts on Alabama getting left out for SMU, how he looks at the early bracket. We'll see who will be joining his pick of Penn State in the national championship game. And also, I know Hickey is a Belichick hater because Belichick owned his team. We'll get his thoughts on the possibility of the hoodie, Bill Belichick, going to Chapel Hill.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. As we do each and every Wednesday, we bring Hot Take Hickey in studio to chat, especially in football season, some NFL and college football. I think we'll do a ton of college with Hot Take Hickey today. But I remember earlier in the season, and I was disappointed in you, very disappointed in you. Because even though we make fun of you for it, I enjoy cocky Penn State Hot Take Hickey, where each and every year you talk your team into being great, and then whenever they play a big game, James Franklin just pees down his right or his left leg. Mm-hmm. The other day I saw you here, and to be fair, you picked them. Did you pick Ohio State to lose to Penn State this year? Right?
Yes, I picked Penn State to win that game.
Okay.
I thought this would be the year.
So that was really only and you, to be fair, you picked Oregon to beat Penn State in the Big
Correct.
Ten championship game.
Yes, sir.
Those were the only 2 big games for Penn State this year.
That's right.
But I was surprised yesterday how confident you were in the newsroom about Penn State for what you just told me, because you're stubborn and you're a man of your word and usually don't flip-flop. I can't say I'm surprised here, because if you're ever going to flip-flop on one of your teams, it's probably going to be Penn State, and you do this anytime one of your teams gets in the playoffs. You're like, let's go! Here they go! Come on! They're going to win it all! But you told me yesterday you have Penn State going to the Natty.
That's right.
Playing Oregon?
Playing Oregon in a rematch. I think they lose the rematch, and Oregon's the national champs, but I look at their path, SMU, Boise State, and most likely Georgia, maybe Notre Dame. I don't think that's awful. Hey, that doesn't scare me.
Hey, Stu, do me a favor. Print me out a new rundown, because I know what's going to happen. If you are right that Penn State gets to Oregon, gets to the national championship game in Atlanta up against Oregon, you will have a logo on those. What is it? Hicks 5-minute picks?
That's right. Right.
It will be a Oregon logo, and you'll be like,
No.
Let's go! Give me the free first runner! Woo!
Look,
give me the Nets! Come on, we are Penn State! Yeah!
Maybe Penn State will continue to play well. Maybe they blow Georgia out. Maybe Oregon gets an injury, and all of a sudden things change between now and January 20th. But right now, forecasting, I think Penn State's good enough to make it. I don't think they're good enough to win it all.
Okay, so give me the road here. I know you're picking them to beat SMU, right?
I am. Yes, sir.
And then I think Boise State or Arizona State, I don't know which one, but one of those teams will be in the Final Four. Okay. I think Texas and Penn State are the teams that did not receive byes. I think Texas and Penn State being in the 5th and the 6th spot, I just think they're overrated football teams. Texas' best win was Texas A&M. Penn State's best win was USC. So I feel kind of confident with Spencer Danielson and also Kenny Dillingham. I'm not saying which one. I think one of them will pick off either Texas or Penn State. How close do you think Penn State, Boise State would be?
10 points, which I think is under the spread. I think I saw a look-ahead spread of like 11.5 or 12.5. Penn State be a favored by. I think Boise could keep it within 10. Yeah, I think Penn State's defense is tough enough to slow down Genty. No one else on Boise State scares me, and I think Penn State's offense can have success against their defense.
Notre Dame, Indiana.
I think Notre Dame wins.
Okay.
Now, I think it's a close game. I think Indiana will learn from their one big game in the shoe.
You love Cignetti.
I do. How can
he
you
could
not?
be your favorite coach in college football, I think.
I mean, he's brash. He's everything most college football coaches are not. He's arrogant. He's outspoken. He's confident. For the most part, he backs it up as well. And you look at that Ohio State game, I mean, not taking anything away from the Buckeyes, so Indiana lost that game. With how many mistakes they made, if you clean it up,
they never had a chance to win.
Where you don't drop a punt and give Ohio State a free touchdown right before the half, you tackle on punt coverage, you don't give them a free touchdown on a punt return. Like,
you know,
it's a game. It's a game.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that.
I'm not saying Indiana would have won. I'm just saying Indiana also played poorly. So I'm saying I think part of that was big stage for the first time. I think maybe they got a little bit intimidated. Now you kind of use that experience going forward. I don't think they'll be intimidated going to Notre Dame State. That's all I'm saying.
Georgia, Notre Dame then. That'd be a great game.
That would be a great game. I'm going to say Georgia.
Can I just interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
I would say Georgia as well. I would love to see Notre Dame, though, because I'm sure we have an image of you somewhere in a Notre Dame sweatshirt, and we could just have fun at your expense.
Sure. Look, I mean, that would be a lot of fun. If
the Hickey Bowl, you win either way?
No, that's not true. If Notre Dame wins, I'd be very upset. Now, family members of mine would be very happy, especially at my expense. Oh,
would that be heated? And I know the Hickey family, you guys have 40 family members, right?
We have a lot, and a lot of them are Notre Dame fans.
Your dad's eight siblings, right?
He is one of 10.
Oh, my God.
8 boys, yes. And a lot of them are Notre Dame. Yes, that's right.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Times were different back in the 50s and the 60s. A lot of time on their hands, I guess.
I don't know. I don't have 10 brothers and sisters. That's my family, my dad and my mom don't. Jeez, that's crazy. You guys you pump them out in the Hickey house. When you get engaged, is there going to be pressure on you to have 8 kids?
No, that's not, because none of my dad or his brothers and sisters have. No one has more than 5.
Okay, 5's still pretty big.
And that's 1. Everyone else is 3 or 2. So
okay, so you would pick Georgia.
I would take Georgia. I think that'd be a very close game, a very good game as well.
So why Penn State over Georgia when Penn State can never win a big game?
Because I don't trust Georgia to put 3 good games in a row together when they haven't done that all season long. They have the talent, and they proved it again against Texas. They have the talent to beat anybody, but they don't have the consistency where even, again, we're watching 2 weeks ago against Georgia Tech, a far inferior team, no disrespect to the Yellow Jackets. You're sitting there going 8 overtimes, and if Georgia Tech's play going is a little bit better, the Tech probably wins on the road. They have so much talent. They just don't have the consistency. They're probably realistically better off without Carson Beck. Hate to say it, not to be that bad guy there, but John Stockton, I think, provided some juice that otherwise wouldn't have been there if Beck was still in the game, didn't get hurt. Now, again, can you ask him to play well 3 games in a row? I don't know. That's There's too many questions with Georgia. Now, again, questions with Penn State as well. I like the way they're playing right now.
Okay, so you have Penn State going to the national championship. I'm just curious the road on that part of the bracket. Now, let me go backwards here. Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the praising of Penn State in the Big Ten championship game is why I call them Participation State University. I never thought they were going to win that game. It felt like for most of the game, like Oregon was teetering in double digits, like 10 to 14 points that they were up. I thought Drew Aller played really well. I'll give him credit. Drew Aller looked really well in the game. I didn't love the decision to go for it all towards the end, but do you walk away as like this is some great moral victory for Penn State? Because that's where it's a little insufferable for me, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people expected them to play well. I did. I thought Oregon would win by 10, and at least I covered that spread, if you will, quote unquote. But no, I thought they were great. Like, the thing that I thought was different in this game versus ever the big game Penn State's played under James Franklin, really since 2017, was that they were aggressive and confident in a big game. Every big game, Ohio State, Michigan, throughout the years, they play not to lose. And that's why they lose every single one of those games, because they play conservatively. They hope the game comes to them. They don't go out there and take it. This was the first game I saw since 2017. That was a loss to Ohio State on the road. But they went out there and actually tried to take the game. And looking back, even some of the penalties that killed themselves early on, at least they were penalties of aggression. They were trying. They were not intimidated. I didn't know, to be honest. Like, we saw the last month after the Ohio State game, they did look aggressive, but also they looked aggressive and confident against far superior teams so many times. So you didn't know if that was just because you're playing a bad opponent in Maryland, or maybe this is actually a different team. And you see against the number one team in the country, to push them the way they did, to just destroy that defense the way no one else has been able to do this year, there was an aggressiveness and a confidence that has never been there under James Franklin in a long time. I think that's palpable. I think it carries through the playoffs.
So when you're down by 14 and they get that touchdown, were you fine with him going for 2? Because
no, too much time. That was stupid.
Well, no, so I thought it was stupid, but the reason why I thought you were going to say yes is just because, right, you're aggressive, you're playing to win. If you get it, then the next time you score,
right, I get the
then
math.
You win. I was not a fan of it in the moment.
If there was 7 minutes left, I would say okay. When there's you score in the first play of the fourth quarter, there's so much time left that you want to play that game. You're not getting one more possession. Oregon's not going to get 1 or 2 more possessions. That way that game is going, you're going to get 3 or 4 each. So take the points, go down by 7. And again, 7 minutes left, 6 minutes left, I'm all for it. Win that game in regulation. Oregon's the better team. The longer it goes out, most likely they're going to win. There's way too much time left at that moment to try to pull that.
Did you wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night this week and just have a nightmare about Tez Johnson? Because, man, anytime the ball was thrown his way, he made a big play.
He's good, man. That Oregon offense is so good. They're so fast. Ohio State saw it firsthand back in October. Like, it's not surprising. And it's just more frustrating just because Penn State was so close to getting Dylan Gabriel down. And his quick release, I just don't know who's slowing down this offense. And you watch that game, you watch them all season long. I have no idea what team, what defense, even Georgia's defense, how they're going to slow down this Oregon offense.
Okay, let's get to some other topics here. Ryan Hot Take Hickey in studio with us as always. Belichick, it looks like he's going to be the next head football coach of UNC. I know you are a Belichick hater. What do you make of this move if Bill is the next HC of UNC?
I love it from both sides. Like, from UNC's perspective, what's the downside?
You're positive today.
I am. You look at, like, what is the worst case that happens? He flames out. They go 3-9. You fire him in 2 years and start over. Okay. Well, I mean, Indiana showed you if you tank for if you have a bad season, let's say, it doesn't take you that long to bounce back and all of a sudden get right back in with the right hire. So worst case scenario, you get attention on your program. You probably get recruits that never would have come to North Carolina to play for Bill on your roster. And again, if you go 3-9, all right, you fire him in 2 years and you start over and you hope that maybe in 2027 you get the right hire, boom, and you're off and running. I think that
double snapping today too. That was a good snap right there.
The ceiling, I think, is high. Like, ACC is open. You're going to get a guy who knows what he's doing.
What's your expectation? So I think they'll consistently. I know they just did this with Mac Brown, and it's kind of weird that you get rid of Mac Brown and then you're bringing in Belichick. If this is what I'm about to say, I think they are consistently going to be bowl eligible. I think Belichick, bare minimum at the floor, will consistently have them be a 6-win team. I do think within 2 or 3 years, I don't think it's like I wouldn't be shocked if they're in an ACC championship game, but I'm thinking every year they'll be bowl eligible with Bill on the sideline.
Yeah, I think 8-4. 8-4 every year. Maybe 1 year, I said, the schedule breaks your way, the record breaks your way, you're 10-2, all of a sudden you're in Charlotte, 60 minutes away from the playoff. I could see that, absolutely.
Okay, now let's get to this. Ohio State. I'll get to the flag planting felony with those dumb politicians later. You have West Virginia open.
Yes.
A lot of people thought this is going to be Rich Rod, and right, who says you can't go home? Brian Hartline is one of those coaches where I'm surprised he hasn't been a head coach yet with all the wide receivers that he's had at The Ohio State. But now we saw a report today, Ohio State co-offensive coordinator, wide receiver coach Brian Hartline is interviewed for the West Virginia job, and this is courtesy of Chris Anderson. What would you make of that if West Virginia gets Brian Hartline?
I think it'd be a great hire for them. I mean, he's going to get talent there, no doubt about it. I think part of it is obviously the brand of Ohio State, but part of it is Brian Hartline has now consistently produced receivers that go to the NFL, get drafted in the first round. Kids that normally would go to Alabama or Ohio State, I think would follow him to West Virginia. I think it's a home run hire for the Mountaineers. I think you'd bring rejuvenation to that program.
And you'll have the nil, too.
Right, you will. And also,
the nil money.
And you're in a conference in the Big 12 that is, more pass happy, more open, that fits that style of 4 or 5 wide, throw it around the yard. Like, I think it'd be a great hire. It'd be a big loss for Ohio State if they can't retain him.
It would be a massive loss. So where are you at with Ryan Day? So Ryan Day, he's a fraud. I know that you have defended Ryan Day. The guy wins games. I'm not saying like he's a bozo, even though at times he does act like he's a bozo. But is there any way that Ryan Day gets like if they lose to Tennessee? Do you think he could get fired?
I just don't think so. Because who are you hiring? I just don't know. Like
Would you rather have Brian Hartline?
I don't know. That's also I don't know. I have no idea if Brian Hartline can be a good coach. We know he can get talent. Can he coach? I have no idea. Can he recruit other than just wide receivers?
You know who the name is?
It's not Urban Meyer.
No, I know he said no.
He's not coming.
And you know what? There's a chance we see Urban Meyer on Friday at Army Navy Radio Row. If we get him on the show, I'd say to him, I know you released a statement that you don't want to coach. Just like, Coach, I don't, with all due respect, if they fired Ryan Day and they called you and begged you to come back, you're really saying no? Like, I have a tough time seeing Urban Meyer say no if they begged him to come back.
I just don't think they'd beg him to come back. That's where I agree with you. If they beg him to come back, I think he's saying yes. I don't see them getting to the point where they're on their hands and knees. Urban, please come back. We need you. Like he loses. Right. Let's also talk about Ryan Day. He loses to Michigan. Unacceptable. I get that. He literally beats everybody else. Like that's also like you have to take that into account where if you want to fire Ryan, you lost by 1 point on the road.
But he didn't win.
You lost on a missed field goal to Georgia 2 years ago, and they're the most unbeatable team in college football. Like it's not like every big game Ryan Day is James Franklin, and they're not even competitive. They are right there in every big game. They beat everybody else they're supposed to beat. He has a Michigan problem, no doubt about it.
But I'm sorry, with the talent that they've had, the fact that he's not been able to win a national championship,
you got to win.
You got to win it. I'm not saying that one in particular, but with the talent, the quarterbacks that they've had, the wide receivers that they've had, Urban Meyer, I didn't agree with this when Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel said it. They said this is the most talented roster that they've ever had this year. I think they've had more talented rosters. So they didn't win it then. Why did I think they were going to win it this year?
I mean, look, 2015 was very talented. The year that they did not win after winning the national title in 2014. They've had Ohio State. It's not a talent issue, clearly. I just think when you look at Ryan Day, I think the Michigan problem or the Michigan loss, I think at times is overblown. That's all.
Okay. Let me get to this with you as Ryan Hot Take Hickey's in studio with us right now, and it says Penn State sycophant on your lower third.
Thanks, Stu.
I don't make those. Stu makes them. Samter makes them. That's what ends up happening. NFL wise, what are you buzzing about right now in the NFL world? What's like your big take right now with what we've seen so far through 14 weeks?
Well, I still think the Eagles are the team to beat.
Does the locker room concern you with Sirianni? And A.J. Brown and all this stuff with Jalen Hurts? Not really.
What is, I guess, maybe not concerning but frustrating is I think this is on Jalen Hurts. Like, you had a problem with Nick Sirianni in the offseason. Now you have a problem with A.J. Brown. He's well regarded by every single coach, every single analyst you talk to that has talked to Jalen Hurts, that has known Jalen Hurts, and some players that have played with him. He's supposed to be a great leader. Why aren't you, quell this problem? I don't think it's even on Nick Sirianni. This is on Jalen Hurts, who's not playing well. That's also part of it, and he has to own that. He's not passing the ball well. But this is where I think great leadership has to come through, where I don't know what's going on. Why are they not communicating? Why are they not friends or whatever? Whatever's going down, why has that not been addressed at this point? You're winning. You've won 9 in a row. It's not like you're losing 3 in a row or 4 in a row.
A.J. Brown's done this before, though.
He has. But you know what? Part of being a great leader is putting him in his place. Look, right now, the Eagles are the best run team in the NFL. It's not like A.J. Brown sure was open at times and Hurst should have gotten the ball, but it's not like they're sitting there running the ball into the line of scrimmage and getting no yards, and they're trying and Brown's running wide open. They are running the ball really well, and they're winning games running the ball. Part of it is putting A.J. Brown in his place and saying, hey, look, you're getting your touches when you get them. Right now, one thing is working. We're not going to placate you and take away from Saquon Barkley, who is in the MVP conversation, just so you're happy. But I think Hurts has to step up here and be a better leader.
So here's where I'm not saying you're totally wrong, because I think it takes two to tango here, but that's why I believe it's most on Sirianni here. Let's say you have an issue with someone around here. Let's say Hickey's feuding with Samter. Let's just say.
Sure.
The two of you are going back and forth. You may walk up to Samter and be like, hey, let's squash the beef. Let's go. Let's get on the same page. And Samter, let's say he's A.J. Brown here, is more like the diva. He could be like, I'm not listening to you. Screw you. That's why I think you need a management guy like our David Mayer, Nick, to then step in and find middle ground between you two. And that's my biggest concern with Sirianni. The guy wins games. You can't doubt the guy wins a lot of games.
He does.
But his locker room, the last 2 years, it's a player-friendly locker room. That's fine. Dan Campbell, player-friendly locker room. But Dan Campbell doesn't let the players walk all over him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Sirianni has to sit everybody down and say, hey, guys, we just messed this up last year when we were 10-1 because we all were acting like a bunch of high school kids. This is not happening again. And I don't know if Sirianni has the stones to do that. I really don't.
I mean, then we talked about it before. I feel like we talked about it a lot this season. Why keep him? Like, he's there he's just the face, the cheerleader. If you want to say you're supposed to, be the locker room guy, like, this is your only responsibility.
Well, you know why?
He's not calling the plays.
It's because he wins games, and Howie Roseman likes a puppet, a coach that he can control. All right, you ran the Zach Gelb playbook, and I'm very proud of you. And it got you a lot of notoriety.
What's the Zach Gelb playbook?
Oh, the Zach Gelb playbook, the Ashton Genty playbook. You've joined the Ashton Genty train. JPA Football, which is an aggregator. I was scrolling, perusing Twitter the other night. Hickey's just sitting there. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm the man. I got all the publicity. Gelb's about to gas me up on the air. This is wonderful. You had a real cocky look to you, son of a bitch. And it said,
I'll lean into it.
And I saw the Twitter, and I'm just scrolling along, and I go, that's my guy, Hickey, with Ashton Genty. Give Ashton Genty the Heisman was the tweet, and we're on in Boise right now. And Hickey's tweet was, if Ashton Genty doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, it'll be one of the biggest atrocities in the award storied history. He rewrote the record books while carrying Boise State not just to the college football playoff, but to a first-round bye. If that's not Heisman worthy, nothing is. The hot take Hickey right there. A lot of national notoriety this week.
And part of it is, I don't think it's...
Part of it's also you hate Colorado.
Argue it's right or wrong, but I think part of what has come into the Heisman conversation when deciding who's going to win or not is team success. That is fair or not. That is part of it. And I think when you look at what Boise State has been able to do, 11-1,
if there's no runaway candidate
on the road, yes, but usually, right? Look back at all the winners.
Because Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, there was no runaway candidate. Then their stats are so great that they ended up winning.
Well, and they were 11-2. USC was, they were in the mix. It's not like it's
they didn't make the playoff though.
No, but that also, they were right there. You lose in the conference title game. It's like they were knocking on the door, and again, they didn't lose because of Caleb Williams. So it's a lot of it is team success as well. In this case, Ashton Genty makes the 12-team playoff with Boise State. I just don't. He's the focal point. He's the guy. Everybody knows. Stop him, and nobody can. I don't know how you can watch him play and say with all the attention on him, and yet Boise State is still winning, how he's not the Heisman Trophy winner.
So I'm a voter. I can't say who I voted for at this stage or who I think should win the award until they announce it. I would have no problem, obviously, with Ashton Genty winning it. I would have no problem with Travis Hunter winning it. I can't really say more than that. I think both are deserving. But I do think it's fascinating. You know that Dylan Gabriel is a finalist and Cam Ward's a finalist.
Yep.
So I think everyone knows Genty or Hunter, one way or another, it's going to be 1-2. Mm-hmm. Who do you think finishes third?
I think it should be Cam Ward. In just part, and I think it will be Cam Ward. He's gotten a lot more attention than Dylan Gabriel has. In part just because that Miami offense, really that team is so reliant on him much more than Gabriel. They have other weapons. Oregon does where you can win defensively, offensively. They ran the ball really well in conference play. Where you look at Miami, the team is Cam Ward. Again, if you watched very little Miami this year, just watch a Syracuse game. That's all you need to know. Mm-hmm. It is all on his shoulders.
Don't tell him that, though. That's him talking up that defense a few weeks ago. Jeez, what a teammate Cam Ward is.
Yeah. It's all him. So he would have got my vote, by the way, if I was a voter. If Miami made the playoff, I would have voted Cam Ward to win the Heisman Trophy again if I had a vote. I think because there's so much on his plate and what he has to do just to get Miami even in the position at 10-2 to be knocking the door of the ACC title game, I think he should finish third.
So your bracket, not your bracket, if you had a vote, your vote, Hickey's vote, not my vote, your vote would have been Genty 1, Hunter 2, Cam Ward 3?
Correct.
Okay.
And then Dylan Gabriel 4.
I think you're an astute, well, you only get 3 votes.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think you're an astute observer of college football. That's all I'll say. I will say this, though. I do believe they should maybe give you 5 votes, because then you could, vote for another guy that just should be there as a finalist. Some people use that third spot for someone that they just want to see as a finalist, even if they don't think it's a top 3. I don't think that's the way that it should be done. I do think they should give 5 votes to the voters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you continue that.
Especially when there's
there.
no ballot, right? Like when, correct, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but when you vote, isn't just
No, you have to write in the name, you have to write in the school.
So you can vote for anyone.
I could vote for Ryan Hickey out of Penn State. And that just wouldn't be a valid vote.
If that's the case, then yeah, they should absolutely give you 5, because to narrow it down just to 3 for all the players, I get it. It's realistically 3 or 4 or 5 in the conversation. But I'm with, I think you should be able to at least try to give someone notoriety. They're not going to win, but at least maybe get them to New York or just get their name in the mix. I agree.
Last thing I'll ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You have Oregon-Penn State in your national championship game.
Yes.
I tell you, Oregon can't get there and Penn State can't get there. What's your national championship matchup? And if you need a bracket, this
I
is a
really hate to say it. I think I would go Texas, Georgia. And I'm also the same person sitting here really thinking that Clemson could win and beat Texas in round 1.
You really hate the SEC.
It's not
you
hating
do.
the SEC.
Stop. You hate the SEC this year. And they're not great. No one's been great outside Oregon.
I really want to like Quinn Ewers. And there are times, there are drives, there are quarters where he looks like the best quarterback in college football. And then he'll foul that up immediately with some awful turnovers, bad decisions. And you're sitting there going, what is this guy doing? He looks like sometimes the best and the worst quarterback in college football in the same quarter, the same half. And you saw it against Texas or against Georgia. It's just like, if he can play consistently, Texas, I think, can win a national title. I don't think they're getting by Oregon, but you're saying I can't take that. I'll take an SEC championship.
Is there a moment that Arch Manning usurps Quinn Ewers in the playoffs?
Definitely. I think if he struggles in the first half, I think at this point, Sark would not hesitate. I don't think he would hesitate.
He is Ryan Hickey. You're in tonight, right?
I am. In for JR.
Hosting 6 to
in
10
the big
p.m.
chair.
Eastern time. 3 to 7 p.m. But maybe I'll stick around and do 4 hours with you. You down? You're like the good old days.
Wow. You would
That's
host
4 hours.
from 3 to 10 p.m. Eastern. 7 straight hours of radio.
I've been here since 11:30 a.m.
Wow.
I had to do a photo shoot today. Won some big award,
Wow. We're going to hear about the award? Or?
I'll tell you off the air. It's not announced yet.
Oh.
But they had a photo shoot where they had 2 photographers come on down from Philadelphia.
Wow.
So, take some photographs, some video. A lot of photos, man. A lot of photos. I felt bad for the photographers. They had to photograph my face. But
sure, it's tough to get a good picture of you.
Oh. You know what? I'm so nice to him. So nice to you.
You like that, Stu?
I have all these compliments on your hosting ability. There's no one is a bigger hype man for you here at the network. And this guy's just disrespectful. You know what? JR needs to teach you some respect. I have a bet for you for the college football player.
Here we
I know
go.
we got to take a break. Botcher's going to lose his mind. You think Penn State's win it all?
No.
All right, sorry. You think they're getting the championship game?
Yes.
Sorry. If Penn State gets to the championship game, I will dress up and do a show on the air as the Nittany Lion. If Penn State does not get to the championship game, whoever team they lose to, you have to dress up as their mascot for a Hot Take Hickey segment with us.
Okay.
You're in?
Sure.
And we shave your
I will
head.
do it. No. I'm not adding insult to injury.
All right. Well, you can listen to the Hickster on Sunday nights, Hick at Night, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern. You can listen tonight on many of these same affiliates coming up right after us. All right. We'll take a time out. Enough of Hickey. More of me. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Let me tell you, Ohio State football fans are down real bad. And I know just because of a dopey politician does something doesn't mean it reflects the way that you feel and the way that you want this to go. But any Ohio State fan or any politician in Ohio that is advocating to ban flag planting, you're a loser. All right? I'll make that crystal clear. You are a loser. And there are bigger issues in the world than Michigan planted a flag because your sorry-ass team couldn't beat them when Michigan was down and down real bad this year. And because Ryan Day, he wakes up with cold sweats in the middle of the night seeing Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stallions, and Sharon Moore and the born on third base comment that he couldn't find a way to beat Michigan this year. But this loser, Ohio State Representative Josh Williams, is introducing the Ohio Sportsmanship Act Tuesday, and the act would make it a felony offense to plant a flag in the center of Ohio Stadium. What? I thought this was fake news. I thought this was Ballsack Sports. I thought this was The Onion. And then I clicked on the link, and you know what I was expecting? Some disgusting picture to pop up, and it was like, ha, 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 you got pranked. But no, this is a real story. How bad down is the Ohio State fan where their politicians are like, oh, what Michigan did was disgraceful. Oh, we have to now make it a felony offense to plant a flag in the center of the field. How about you beat them? How about you beat them? Can you imagine, next year, Bryce Underwood beats Ohio State? I know the game's in Michigan. But let's say, in a few years from now, it's at Ohio Stadium, and he plants the flag, and it's like, oh, you're getting arrested, sir, and getting charged with a felony offense. Man, I'll tell you this. I don't give a rat's ass who wins the college football playoff outside Ohio State. I'm rooting against Ohio State. And I know that this isn't their program, but this Ohio State representative, Josh Williams, what a loser. Loser, 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 loser. This is just unbelievable to me. Now, let me go to someone that doesn't like nonsense. Marco Belletti. Marco Belletti. Let's just say, I don't know, the Yankees lost in the ALCS to the Boston Red Sox. And the Boston Red Sox, after the ALCS, are in Yankee Stadium. They take their flag, and they plant it on the pitcher's mound. If, let's just say, a New York politician goes, we're going to make a New York Sportsmanship Act, and anyone that does that ever again is going to be charged with a felony, and lock it up, throw away the key, you would be like, I know what Marco would say. What are we doing here?
I mean, look, I've unfortunately seen plenty of times. The Red Sox did dance at Yankee Stadium in the ALCS in 2004, coming back from 3-0 down. You had to sit there and watch it. We just watched the Dodgers do it at Yankee Stadium in the World Series. It sucks.
New York.
Yeah, it sucks. Tough. That's the only way. I mean, that's life. Suck it up. Deal with it. I don't like the flag planting personally because I don't really care for it. But I can't. A rule? It's a felony offense. Please stop.
It's actually offensive to people that actually commit felonies.
Stop.
To have someone get arrested for a felony if you plant a flag in the middle of the field.
Which is the problem with the world in general. Do your job instead of worrying about this nonsense that is going to get publicity and people to talk about you so we actually hear your name. We don't even know who the hell you are. Why don't you do your job, which I'm assuming has nothing to do with felony offenses planting flags in football stadiums. Go do your job. Spend your time doing that, which you actually get paid for, and I would imagine overpaid for. Do that. Stop worrying about all this nonsense.
The priorities, right? I don't know all the problems in Ohio, but there has to be bigger problems.
I don't live there. I would imagine there's some. There's got to be a problem, right? Any problem that they have is more important than this.
Can we lower the cost of groceries first before we lose our mind about a flag being planted in the middle of the field?
I would imagine there's a stop sign that needs to be put up somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a light that needs to be put up somewhere.
There's an old lady who needs help crossing the street.
Do that. Do anything. Don't do this. But none of that stuff gets publicity. This gets your name in an article. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I got to see what this guy, Josh Williams, looks like.
He looks like a loser, is what he looks like. I have no idea who he is.
Neither do I. Josh Williams. Looks like a generic politician. Really does. Looks
Stunning.
like someone I want to punch in the face.
Stunning. I'm sorry. Another ass clown. Stop.
Jeno!
Stop.
You call him an ass clown?
Yeah, that's one of my words. I like that word. You know what? I'm going to steal from Belichick because he's part of the new. Do your job.
Do your job well.
Just do your job. I don't even expect you to do it well. Just do it. Do something. Anything. Not this. This has nothing to do with what you get paid for. And again, overpaid for. I have no idea what you make. You don't get. You don't deserve any of it.
Can you imagine? Oh, Sorry, job candidate. We see that you're a felon. We're skeptical of hiring you. What'd you get arrested for? Well, there was a time me and my buddies were drunk. Or actually, we weren't drunk. We were playing in a football game. You may have heard of it. The Game. And I was a winning player. And I took a flag, a Michigan flag, after beating Ohio State for the 17th time in a row, and I planted it in the middle of the field, and I got charged with a felony, and now I'm a felon.
And see, and part of this, though, now is going to be every year, both squads, unless there's going to be some sort of security stops it or the programs put an end to it, they're going to look for the flag to be able to plant it in the middle of the field because now it's become a thing. Now, I want to see you actually charge me with the felony because I know I would have that response.
I don't like being critical of law enforcement, but how players were pepper sprayed over this, to me, is wild.
I mean,
nonsense.
Again, they lost total control, so I don't know. I try not to. You put yourself in their shoes and you try not to overjudge, but at the same time, and it's a football game.
How
It's
many
still
times do you see
football.
a fight in a football game? No one gets pepper sprayed.
That's why. Like it got completely and
Because all
totally
those
out of
Ohio
control.
State fans, doesn't matter if you're a cop, doesn't matter if you're a normal blue-collar 9-to-5 guy, doesn't matter if you're some bougie executive. All Ohio State fans, we've learned recently, they're sore losers.
Wow.
They are sore losers. Babies. Babies.
There's too many all over the place, not just Ohio State.
I hope Tennessee spanks them in the playoff and then plants the flag in the middle of the field before it's a felony.
No, let it be a felony. I don't care. Because you're never going to be able to charge them with that for
Felon
real.
Iamaliava at quarterback.
Stop. But now you're going to get, you know what? That's what you're going to do. The first thing everybody's going to try to do is plant the flag at Ohio State if you beat them there. Why? Because you opened the door to this. Well, there's a lot of times just let stuff
So
go.
what happens if you, under this act, right? Let's say Ohio State wins a game and they're just celebrating afterwards and they're waving their flag and they place their flag down. Does Jack Sawyer get arrested here?
I think in the wording, I think it was opposing player.
Oh, opposing.
I don't believe it.
So this is a douchey law.
What, that it's double standard and hypocritical? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It sounds like the world. Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole point of this.
Yeah.
It's also not going to go through because they're not going to actually vote on this.
Yeah.
This is just for you to
It's for
click
clicks.
the article and to read it. And then to learn what this guy's name was, who I already forgot.
Yeah. Josh Williams.
Great.
Josh Loser.
Ass clown.
Josh Ascliffe. Representative of Ohio.
And that's the problem because you actually get that title. Representative of no one because no one wants this.
We are swearing in the state representative of Ohio, Josh Ass Clown Williams.
Nobody wants that.
All right, Take 5 Wednesday next. Update time first. Here's La Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, Zach, still not done. Some hurdles to be worked through, but reports say it's in the hands of Bill Belichick if he wants to coach in North Carolina. Things like his son Steve's possible role, along with NIL money, Belichick's salary, still apparently not finalized. 72-year-old, six-time Super Bowl winner could be headed to the college game for the first time in his career. Red Sox a splash. They land Garrett Crochet from the White Sox in exchange for 4 prospects. 25-year-old lefty pitched to a 3.58 ERA in his first season as a starter in the Bigs. NBA Cup continues tonight. 2 more games on tap. You got the Knicks taking on the Hawks for the right to face the Bucks in the semis. Later is the Rockets and the Warriors. Golden State 4 rings in less than 10 years, but doesn't mean that Steve Kerr doesn't take the NBA Cup seriously.
We packed to go to Vegas. Like we want to go, and we want to win the cup. We're in the quarters. We're in a good spot. So our intent is to go after it.
So winner of the Warriors and the Rockets will face the Thunder. Elsewhere, the Raptors expected to be without Scotty Barnes for several weeks with a right ankle sprain. Barnes missed 11 games earlier this season. That with a right orbital fracture, if I could say it. Toronto struggled without him. They went just 2-9 in those 11 games. I'm Marco Belletti.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
As the dust settles from last week's games, it's time to look at which teams are rising and which are falling.
And there's an interception.
Zach ranks his top 5 NFL and college football teams on this week's edition of Take 5, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
I'll get to my top 5 teams in just a second, but I just got a nice Instagram post from Jake Dyer, who listens to the show in Boise on KTIK The Ticket. He was the listener that sent me the Ashton Genty Heisman sweatshirt. So he told me that he just had a newborn, a little baby girl. So I called up the bookstore at Boise State and I said, hey, I'd like to buy a baby gift. And I bought like these little baby Boise State Broncos slippers and I sent it to him. Now here's the thing. I said, can you include a note? Because they offer like, right, you include a note. You usually think, right, Botcher, that would be like typed up. It wouldn't be handwritten if you request for a note, a note there. They hand wrote it.
It's even better. Is it script?
No, but the handwriting's great. And I'm going to put this on my story, and people are going to be like, oh, Zach Gelb has got good penmanship. I have terrible handwriting. This is the best my handwriting's ever looked, and it's signed with my name, Zach Gelb. So very nice, relationship we have with Boise, obviously. Appreciate Jake sending me the sweatshirt, and happy to send him and his wife and his baby girl little Boise State Bronco boots. And away we go as Boise State's in the college football playoff. All righty, let's get to Take 5 Wednesday right now. I'll give you my top 5 teams in college football in the NFL. Let's go college first. In at number 5, I think people are going to be surprised by this, Tennessee. I think Tennessee, out of all the teams that didn't get a bye, they have the potential to be one of the more dangerous teams in the country. I love their defense. I love their running back, Sampson. Nico Iamaleava could be a little bit erratic at times, but I put Tennessee in at number 5. Number 4, I'm going Notre Dame. The 1-2 punch with their running backs. Riley Leonard has found his way the last few weeks. That defense is good, led by Xavier Watts. I put the Fighting Irish in at 4-3. I don't love them. That's clear. They got a lot of talent. I know they just lost to Michigan, but at least they're not playing Michigan. They're playing Tennessee, which should be a tough first-round matchup. I don't trust Ryan Day and Will Howard in a big spot, but they still have a lot of talent. I'm going Ohio State in at number 3. 2, it's Georgia, even though they're now without their quarterback, Carson Beck. And in number 1, and I would list this: Oregon 1, a lot of space, Georgia 2, then a lot of space than everybody else. But the Ducks of Oregon, who just won the Big Ten in their first year of existence in the Big Ten, in at number 1. Stu, speak now, forever hold your peace.
All right, speaking of the Big Ten team that kind of made it sort of close in the championship game, what about Penn State?
They can't win a big game. Now we have to pat them on the head because they didn't get blown out up against Oregon. They should win their first-round game. If they don't get to the semifinal, I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, this is some great season for Penn State. They get to the semifinal, I won't say anything critical about Penn State, just for the analysis after when they lose. But, yeah, Penn State, that's why they're not, because they can't win a big game.
All right, what about Texas after their 2 losses to Georgia?
So their best win of the season is A&M. And the reason why I put Tennessee in over Texas is I said to myself, would you rather have your best victory be up against A&M or would you be Alabama? It's close, but since, Alabama was the first team out, that's why I ended up putting Tennessee in front of Texas.
All right, how about a team with a bye, Arizona State?
Heck of a team. I think they're dangerous, and their wide receiver, Xavier Guillory, is going to join us coming up in about 10 minutes from now from the Big 12 champions. I love the mentality of their coach. Tyson now out for the season, their star wide receiver. Cam Scatteraboo is unbelievable, and Sam Levitt's really good. I just think that there's a limitation. I think they're really good. I just don't think they're going to win a championship, a national championship, but they were picked last in the Big 12, so they've already overachieved. It's all gravy from here. But I just don't think they're a top 5 team in the sport.
And last but not least, a team that lost one game, a very close loss to Oregon, and that is Boise State.
I thought about them. I did, with that defense and the way that Maddox Jeter-Madsen's playing, and then also Ashton Genty being a Heisman Trophy finalist, and their only loss is up against Oregon. But you just look at an SEC powerhouse like Tennessee. I do think if Tennessee did play Boise State, as much as I love the Broncos, they would beat them. All right, let's go to the NFL. Vikings. Sam Darnold just threw 5 touchdown passes as they rolled the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota, with that defense and the way that the offense is playing, and Sam's getting the ball out to guys like Addison and Hawkinson, and obviously their preeminent player in Justin Jefferson, they've been really fun to watch. Kevin O'Connell's doing a kick-ass job. And number 4, I know they lost 44-42. It wasn't because of their offense. It was because of their coaching and bad special teams play. I'm going to put the Buffalo Bills in at number 4. Josh Allen just had 6 total touchdowns in a game. Locker room chemistry, but a 9-game win streak. Locker room chemistry could prevent them from being 2-1 this year, but it puts the Philadelphia Eagles in at number 3. The Chiefs, it's amazing how they keep on pulling these out, but they keep on winning. It's not pretty. Just win, baby, win. Right, Stu? Just win, baby, win. Not used for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm using for it here. They're in at number 2, and then in at number 1. The Detroit Lions are as banged up could be on defense. They're going up against a Packers team that's really damn good, and they were still able to beat the Packers. Big game this weekend, Lions and Bills, but Detroit only has 1 loss on the season. I put the Lions in at number 1. All righty, speak now, forever hold your peace. Lions 1, Chiefs 2, Eagles 3, Bills 4, and cold like Minnesota with the Minnesota Vikings in at number 5.
All right, what about the Steelers 10-3, a totally different team since Russ took over at quarterback?
It's still just skepticism with me because I've seen this story before. Russ has been really damn good. The defense is really damn good. It wasn't the greatest game, but, you expected they'd be better than the Browns, and they were. They beat them twice now, twice in 3 weeks. So I just look at the Steelers, and I still can't wrap my head around. And I put them in the top 5 at the 5 spot at times this year. But I still can't, put my finger on the statement of them just saying, hey, I will latch on to them being a Super Bowl contender. I do think that right now they're the 3rd best team in the AFC, but I'm stuck on the fact that they haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season, and we keep on seeing them have really good seasons, but they don't get it done in the postseason. So that's why I have a little, I want to trust you. Your play tells me I should trust you, but I know your history.
All right, what about the Packers? They have 4 losses, but those 4 losses are to the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions twice.
I just don't think they're ready to take that next step. I think they're really good. I still think they're a year away. I'd like to go see them get Jordan Love, an elite number 1 wide receiver. Watson's too much in and out of the lineup and too inconsistent, even though he's a good player, but I think he's more of a 2 than a 1, a really high-end 2. But I look at the Packers. They had a chance to beat the Lions, and the Lions are the walking wounded, and they couldn't get the job done. So they're out of the top 5.
All right, last but not least, the Seahawks, who are 8-5.
They should win that division. It's either going to be them or the Rams. I really feel like that's going to be the case. I think their ceiling's just good. I don't think it's top 5 level. But I like the job that Mike McDonald's done. That secondary starting to play well. And our offense, they're a fun watch. Geno Smith, does he have a top 5 team in the league? No. He's a solid quarterback, good quarterback. Everyone wrote him off, and he didn't write back. And he's wrote back in a big way in terms of wins on the football field, but as a top 5 team in the NFL, no. So college, I think people will disagree with me a lot, but I have Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Notre Dame 4, Tennessee 5, and the NFL, Lions 1, Chiefs 2, Eagles 3, Bills 4, and the Vikings 5. One of the best stories in college football is the Arizona State Sun Devils. Their receiver had 2 touchdowns in the Big 12 championship game. Xavier Guillory is going to join us on the other side. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We're coming on back in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
And away we go, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. How about the Sun Devils at Arizona State? They were picked dead last before the season started to win the Big 12. They end up winning the Big 12. Now they are off to the college football playoff, and they have a bye. So they don't have to play in the first round as the 4 seed on the bracket. And now joining us is one of their star wide receivers, Xavier Guillory, who in the Big 12 championship game had 2 catches. Both of those catches were touchdowns. So how about those numbers for efficiency? And he's kind enough to join us right now. Xavier, first off, congratulations. I would say how you're doing, but things got to be going pretty well right now with what the Sun Devils have been throughout this season.
Yes, sir. That's just an awesome experience how far we've came from where people had us preseason to where we're at now. We knew what we had beforehand, so it's like no surprise to what the success that we have and the foundation we built upon. But I'm just glad that we're getting the wins and the championships, and we're just going to continue to forward. And we're not done yet. Still got the CFP to go through, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
Why did you believe in this team? Because you said you guys knew you were always capable of being able to pull this off and have this in you. When everyone's saying you can't do this, you can't do that, this team's going to finish last in the Big 12, why did this program? Why did you believe?
Just it starts with the head man, Kenny, Coach Dillingham. He reset the foundation for what he wanted this team and this culture to be. We got the people that wanted to be here, and we got the people that didn't want to, fit the culture out. And so we got the right people that wanted to buy into what Coach Dillingham and, we saw his character and who he was as a person. Last year, we didn't have the best season, but he still, came in with the energy every single day. And, we got guys healthy. We got guys that came in through the portal that were big helps. And so from what we saw from January all the way till, where we're at now, we started from the foundation, reset, and we built from there. And from there, it was just a player-led team. The coaches obviously came in and coached us up, but it really started with the leaders on our team, and our best players stepped up and took that leadership role, and everybody pretty much followed suit throughout the workouts in the winter, spring, and summer time. So the results that you're seeing now is just a product of the work that we put in during the offseason.
I know this isn't your first stop on your college football journey, but a few years ago when you first met Kenny Dillingham, when he was taking over the program, and you said, okay, I'm going to go to Arizona State, what were the first impressions that you had of him?
It's just he was a genuine. He just was upfront. I was out of high school, obviously went through the recruiting process, then I went through it again out of the portal, leaving Idaho State. So I kind of knew what coaches were about. Some coaches sell you a dream, and some other coaches just tell you what you want to hear. But Coach Kenny kept it real. Coach, he just knew he was a definition of a player's coach, and he wanted people like me who may not have been the highest, rated recruits, but he saw for what I was worth and what I could be. And I'm sure that's a testament for a lot of other people on this team, that a lot of our guys, a lot of our best players, Scat, Xavier Alford, Keyshawn Elliott, Miles Rouser, Javen Robinson, Sam Levitt. We have a lot of guys that were slept on out of the portal or out of high school that may not have gotten love at their old school, but they came here. Coach Dillingham believed in them and got the best out of them. And that's what a coach is supposed to be, is get the best out of your players. And that's exactly what Coach Dillingham did. Got the right coaches on the staff that, for my position, Coach Ward, he got the right people on the staff that knew how to develop and, kind of get the best out of each player. And that's just the results you're seeing this year.
Yeah, you say Coach Ward. He should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. For people that don't know, Hines Ward is on staff at Arizona State. What is it like with the guy who was so good, so great, I should say, for so many years, to be able to use him as a resource and get to learn from him?
It's just, it's going beyond football now to where you kind of just looking up at them as like a mentor. There's coaches, but then there's guys that come around like Coach Ward that who's done it. All of us wish to have the career that he had. Super Bowls, MVPs, gonna be in the Hall of Fame, Pro Bowls. All of us want the career that he has. So when he talks and gives you advice, you listen. And then he's not just saying that just because that's what coaches are saying. He really did it. So when he tells us to block or tells us to give more effort, it's not that he knows what it takes to be on a championship level team. So getting advice and getting coached every day by him is really just a blessing. I know you could ask Jordan Tyson, Milk on Stovo, everybody else that's benefited from him. We've all improved from when he got here to where we're at now. It's just up from top to bottom, where everybody's improved by his coaching and his care about developing us.
And he also won Dancing with the Stars. And I remember he once told me that he never even went to his high school prom. So does Coach still have the dance moves since he won Dancing with the Stars? Did you see him dance a little bit after winning the Big 12 championship?
Yeah, he was having his fun, especially after I scored. I saw on a film of him jumping up and down. So he still got some athleticism in there and stuff. So, but I'm not sure about Dancing on the Stars athleticism. He did show that to us. And but yeah, Coach got some moves, but I don't know how much moves he got left.
That's unbelievable. Xavier Guillory with us. What was Idaho State like? Just wondering. Like, what do you take from your time there on the FCS level before landing with a big program like Arizona State?
Yeah. So I think that what the FCS, like going there taught me just like work ethic. And if you want to, you'll find a way. So I feel like a lot of like players today may get catered to too much. But the FCS level, especially Idaho State, we didn't have like the lunch table, your own nutrition table, your own NIL card, you had to like figure it out. There's times I had to walk to practice. There was times I had to, find a way to get more food. And, but, we had to share our weight room with every other sport. So it just taught you how to, grind. And like when nobody cares or watches, because nobody really came to our games, no media was really there. So you had to like really fall in love with the game. So by the time I got to ASU and they did have all that stuff that players get, nutrition table, all the facilities, the 24-hour access, all that stuff. I was like a kid at a candy store. I was just so happy that I was able to have those resources. And I'm glad it taught me just how to, grind, and it taught me how to really, appreciate what I had and not take anything for granted.
No, it's unbelievable answer. Xavier Guillory here with us. So I know it's now been obviously more than a few days when you still hear it. Arizona State, Big 12 champions, and you guys are going to the playoff and you have a bye. How do you process winning that championship?
Just like any other win, this team is different than any other team I've been on, because when we win, we care about it for a day, maybe the next day a little bit, then we're all hungry for the next one. And so it's just like never really being satisfied or content, being happy with what we've earned. Obviously, we're all very like grateful for, winning that. That's not something we take lightly. But then again, we know there's still more ball to be played. And I feel that's what separated us from a lot of teams this year is just our hunger to get better. Like we're all hungry. Like I said, a lot of our guys on this team, didn't get the love that they might have thought they could have gotten out of the portal, out of high school stuff. So we got a lot of hungry dudes on this team that want to go out there and, prove it to the world that what we can do, what they can do individually, but most importantly as a unit. And so we're excited for this next game, and that's really what we're focused on. We're going to have this little break, obviously. Got 3 weeks at first round bye, but we're taking our time to get our bodies right, everything getting prepared for January 1st.
So you guys lost your best wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. We know the season he was having, and then right at the end of the year, unfortunately, he gets hurt. What was the mentality, really, of the team to still get the production that we saw on offense, even though you didn't have Jordan this past week?
Yeah, so we knew what we all could do individually, and obviously beyond just teammates. Jordan Tyson's really close friend of ours, brother, like basically just our brother. So obviously when he went down, we went through so much together during the offseason and during the season. It's tough to see him go, but he would be the first one to tell you that like the next man up, and nobody was nervous when. When he went down. Obviously you have a receiver as high production like he did. But we all were confident in ourselves, and we knew if we just got the opportunity, what we could do. And a lot of us got a lot of the guys this year got that opportunity. Malik McClain got his opportunity, made a big play. Melquan Stovall had about 100 yards that game. And then I got my opportunity. So it's just the next man up. Just like this is the game we play. We know since we're kids that you can get injured at any moment. So it's just being ready for your opportunity, not having no drop off, especially with a receiver who's as productive as Jordan Tyson, arguably one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the Big 12 or in the country. So we didn't want any drop off, especially before the Big 12 championship game. But this past game just gave us reassurance that, okay, we got multiple guys that can play and be productive for this team. And then so it was just a testament to Coach Arroyo, his play calling, and Sam Levitt's ability to adapt and stuff. So it was awesome game experience for our whole receiving group as a core.
Wrapping up with Xavier Guillory, you had those 2 touchdowns. The first one was pretty damn cool. The second one, man, that was some catch. Take me through the second touchdown, because, I was watching that. I'm like, wait, he just did that? It was very impressive.
Yeah, so those are stuff, like I said, like plays I made in games before at Idaho State, and obviously I wish I could have had more at Arizona State. But, just like I said, just getting your weight, getting your opportunity, those plays I make all the time in practice and stuff. So when I made it, it was like I didn't realize what I did until I saw the replay. But it was it's something I practice. You can ask my teammates; they'll catch me in the facility catching 500 to 1,000 balls in a day. Just I take my craft serious. So when I do make plays like that, it feels good. Just all the work that you put in, getting paying off in such a setting like that stuff. So I was glad I was able to finally put it on film, on tape, and show people that I can make plays like that and at a consistent rate.
Yeah, and it's also neat, right, when you ball out in a performance and a stage like that, and you have that performance. You talked about getting no coverage at Idaho State. Even throughout this year, right, there's attention on other guys just with some of the players you have on this team. And, I've seen the story. You're a Native American athlete. You did the celebration in the end zone twice. Just kind of tell me about your upbringing and a little bit more about your story. Yeah,
so I come from the Nez Perce Reservation. That's where my people from. Both my parents grew up on the reservation. I'm Native and African American, but I love putting on for my Nez Perce people, and not just my tribe, but indigenous people all over the country, and just let them know there's not a whole lot of Native American athletes playing at my level or at the pro level. So I wanted to give a nod to them every time I do my celebration, just to let them know that Natives can ball, and we're out here can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything, even play at a high level. And it's just, that belief that I want other kids, people that I grew up watching, I want kids to, grow up watching me play. And, I want them to have somebody to look up to, and I want to do it right. And I wanted to be a good role model, not just on the field, but off the field too, stuff. So it means a lot to me to put on for my people when I'm out there.
That's a great answer. Xavier Guillory here with us. Just want to ask you about two of your teammates before we let you run. Cam Scadaboo. I watch him. Tremendous leader, tremendous toughness, right? The heart and soul of the football team. Just give me your perspective of playing with Cam, who, man, he's been fun to watch this year. And really going back to last year, too.
Yeah, it's just who Cam is at the core. Like, me and him were both in the Big Sky Conference and the FCS level. He went to Sac State, I went to Idaho State. So I saw him since my freshman year, 2020, 2021. He's always been like that. He's always made plays, just like I said, but just getting that opportunity to finally put it on a national stage. Cam is just, he's a different. He's my favorite teammate that I've gotten to play with. It's honestly like I get the best seats in the house just watching him make the plays. I get to block down the field for him, and he's just an amazing player. I think he's gonna have a long NFL career. He's just and just who he is as a person too. Like you said, what he brings to the team, the energy, that kind of swag that we want ASU to have. He brings that every single day, and that's just something that we all can get behind, and we all want to every player to have that type of that hunger and that confidence and that perseverance that he has. He's just a tough dude, battles through injuries and runs through people's faces and stuff. So he's a dog, and he's my favorite player to, one of my favorite teammates ever stuff. So it's been really awesome.
So I love your coach. His personality is infectious, but you've said it, and it's really stuck with me through this interview. You have a lot of guys on this team that were overlooked, that were doubted, have a chip on their shoulder, and you guys all come together, and it's just a fun team to watch. I got a chance to talk to your quarterback about a month ago, I would say, Sam Levitt. He's another one of those guys. Yeah. Man, the confidence is all the way up here, and you could tell there's just a chip on his shoulder, and he's looking to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, Sam Levitt, yeah. He's like when he first got in, like you said, that confidence, we were like, who is this kid that came in, just transferred through the portal, just like, talking crazy to everybody. Oh, I'm better than you at this, man. Y'all can't like.
He told me he's going to be the number one pick of the draft. That's his goal.
Yeah, I mean you'd rather have a player like that than trying to pick push somebody to get confident. So it's easier to hold somebody back than to push them forward and stuff. So that's what makes him so good, is that his confidence in himself. And you see it on game day. It comes to fruition. Like, a lot of the stuff that he says about himself comes out on game day. And he prepares like it. It's not like he's not preparing. The dude works hard. It's not a surprise. Sometimes you go at the facility at night and he's in there by himself, doing mobility or doing extra work when nobody else is watching, no cameras are on him. He doesn't really care about the limelight. He was a grinder before anybody else really cared about who he was and stuff. So, but now that he does get, all that love, he's still working the same stuff. So I love who he is as an athlete, man. He puts in the right work and he does it right. Yeah. So I think he's another one that's gonna have a great collegiate career and a great NFL career, in my opinion.
There's a lot of people when the bracket came out, Xavier Guillory, that said, hey, Texas, Penn State, they got easy roads. They'll win the first round, and then they have Boise State and Arizona State standing in the way. For people that still doubt your Arizona State football team, what do you say to them?
Please keep doing that, because that's what we feed off of, man. We don't want your love. We didn't need it before. Just keep doubting us. That's what we feed off of, and I love when we have that chip on our shoulder. And I don't think we'll ever lose that with Coach Dillingham. It starts with Dillingham, like what he does, and the hunger that he brings is just like the rest of us. He's just like a competitive, probably even more competitive than some of the guys on the team. Like, the dude competes, and so we'll be fine. We all we need is each other and stuff. So I'm excited what we can do just on our own.
Now, no one thought you could win the Big 12. Now everyone's going to say you can't win the national championship. Why couldn't this team win it all this year?
Just what we bring, man. You got the X's and O's. You can scheme up, but you can't teach people like coming down, hitting you. Can't teach receivers giving extra effort on the blocks. You can't teach the O-line to run 70 yards down the field to run block for the running back. It's just something that we got, man, and it's special, and it's a special group, and we got the talent too. It's not just we're all out here just a bunch of Rudies. We got a lot of talent out here that can play on Sunday, and just giving effort and stuff. So it's a great team to be a part of, and I'm just glad I'm on this side.
Happy for your success. Happy for your team's success. Good luck the rest of the way. Really appreciate the time. Wonderful conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
You got it. There he is, Xavier Guillory on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Man, holy smokes, that was impressive. That was a really good conversation. And let me tell you, that Arizona State team with that coach, Kenny Dillingham, they got a mentality. They got a killer's mentality, too. And that's a lot of guys that were overlooked at Arizona State, and they're balling out in a big way. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, we'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We'll do a news brief next. Football season is in full swing. You take full advantage by winning some cash with Sleeper Picks. Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you can win real money. Just pick more or less than at least 2 of your favorite player stats. If you're right, you could win. You pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users just have to play $5, and they'll receive $55 in free bonus entries. That's right. If you deposit $25 and play $5, they'll give you 11 $5 bonus entries to start playing. So download the Sleeper app now and use promo code SCORE and get it on this promo before time runs out. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and unlock one of the fastest growing fantasy sports apps in the world. Use code SCORE to claim the play $5, get $55 bonus entry offer. That's code SCORE. Must be at least 18 years old in most states and present in state where it is legal to wager. Promo code, location, other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms to use for details at sleeper.com. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. Sponsored by Sleeper, a Blitz product.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Up in Adams with Kay Adams. Had Devontae Adams on. Here is Devontae Adams on going from the Raiders, one bleep show, to the next in the New York Jets.
It's just like you going to war and somebody saying, you got a knife and everybody else got rifles. And then somebody finds a rifle and they hand you a rifle and you say, all right, great. So you start going and you go to shoot the rifle and it jams up. That's like saying, oh, damn, I should have just kept my knife. Like, no, you did the right thing by grabbing the rifle. That thing just didn't work the way you intended it to. And sometimes that happens and you gotta live with that and go from there. And that's kind of where I
am. Stu. He just doesn't get it. Here's why he doesn't get it. Sure, you wanted to leave the Raiders. You can't fault him for wanting to leave the Raiders, right? You're a Raiders fan. You can't fault him for that, correct?
No.
And going to the Jets when he did. I didn't agree with it. I said, hey, you should pick another quarterback that's going to be around longer than that. But you wanted to be pals with your best friend. But even if you wanted to say, oh, you wanted to reunite with Aaron and that's why you did it, okay, fine, I can at least respect it. His mistake was he was in a palace. He was in Green Bay. And because his feelings got hurt because they spent all the time dealing with Rodgers bitching and complaining, and they eventually made him an offer where he left more money on the table to leave, you should have never left the first place. That's the root of the problem. So you could talk about this war with the knife and the gun and then it misfiring and how it wasn't the wrong decision. Well, you were in a palace. You were protected from ever exposing yourself to be getting hit with the knife or hit with the bullet with the gun. And you said to the security, when the security said, do not leave, Mr. Adams, in the palace of Green Bay. We can't protect you if you leave. You said, I'm out. That's the problem. It's not what you did when you left. It's the fact that you left. And you should have never, ever, 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 ever left the Green Bay Packers. Steelers, Eagles, this weekend at Lincoln Financial Field. I'll be in attendance for this one. Here is Mike Tomlin with high praise of Saquon Barkley.
The acquisition of Saquon Barkley has got to be the most significant acquisition in the NFL in 2024. That's what the tape looks like. He's been dominant, eye-opening at times, obviously. Highlight real caliber plays, long runs, touchdowns, etc. It starts there for us. If you don't minimize him in some way, you're not even going to position yourself to have a chance to be successful.
So, yeah, everyone's praising Saquon Barkley right now. That's just going to be the case. That's going to be a fun one coming up this weekend. All right, real quickly, let's go around the room. Botcher, Steelers, Eagles. Who do you think wins this game?
Steelers.
Okay. Stu, Steelers, Eagles.
I think the Eagles win.
I think the Eagles are going to win. I got to be careful because I got a lot of friends in Philadelphia. I wouldn't mind if the Steelers won this game, though. Because I saw some of the videos of A.J. Brown today in the locker room. And we'll play that audio in the last segment. But A.J. Brown, he had about 500 media members around. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but there was a lot of media members there. And if they lose this game after this week of problems with Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts and also A.J. Brown, it's just an interesting response then week for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go to Amon-Ra St. Brown on the St. Brown podcast talking about who he'd rather play in the playoffs.
Who would you rather play in playoffs, Packers or Vikings?
Well, we haven't played the Vikings the second time yet. But I would probably say the Vikings. I mean, they're both, playing a division team in the playoffs it gets nutty. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
I'm surprised you would admit that. Now, I respect someone that does a podcast and they understand their role there is to be a podcast host and operate a show that I would do and like a podcast I would host with giving an honest answer. But the fact that you are an NFL player and you said it, that's where it gets a little dicey. And I'm surprised you'd rather play the Packers than the Vikings. Wait, no, he said he'd rather play the Packers? That's what he said, right? Or was it he'd rather play the Vikings, Botcher?
He said he hasn't played the Vikings twice, but either way, a divisional game is crazy.
Play that one more time. I got to rehear that real quickly. Play it. Sorry.
Who would you rather play in playoffs, Packers or Vikings?
Well, we haven't played the Vikings the second time yet. But I would probably say the Vikings. I mean, they're both, playing a division team in the playoffs it gets nutty.
So, yeah, he did say he'd rather play the Vikings. Packers or Vikings right now, no offense. I know Jordan Love's really damn good. The Vikings look like a better team. I'd rather play the Packers. Let's go to Chase Daniels. He was on the facility on FS1, and he was making the case for the Minnesota Vikings, who Amon-Ra St. Brown would rather play over the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs for signing Sam Darnold to a long-term deal.
Commit to him long-term. 2 to 3 years is long-term for me, right, in this league. The most important thing for a quarterback is can you win? Okay, after that, they're winning. And no one thought they would do that, especially after they got rid of Kirk Cousins. I love the way Sam Darnold's playing in Kevin O'Connell's offense. So if you sign him back, I think it's the right move. He's making a case not only for the Minnesota Vikings to resign him, but for other teams, these quarterback-needy teams, Giants, Jets, Browns, Raiders, to go out there and get him. You got to look at the draft situation next year with these quarterbacks. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, maybe. It's not a great class top to bottom. So all these teams are going to need quarterbacks. When you put it on tape, even if it's for a small portion of the time, teams are excited about that.
That's going to be a fascinating one because I think the Vikings have set up their team where they don't want to pay big money to the quarterback. And you just drafted J.J. McCarthy with the 10th overall pick. You have Sam Darnold there. Sam's deserving of a bigger contract, and he's going to get paid a lot of money. And I could see why the Minnesota Vikings say, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think they're going to try to fix it this offseason. I think Sam's going to go somewhere else. Whether that's right or wrong, you could be the judge of that one. Ashton Genty was on the edge with Micah Parsons. Ashton Genty started out his year going on our show. Now he's on Micah Parsons' podcast. It's kind of funny. Ashton Genty makes the case for winning the Heisman over Travis Hunter.
You go week by week, you watch the film. By week 4, I wasn't seeing anything less than an 8-man box. So that means the whole defense, every single week is geared towards stopping me, and they still couldn't. Some, they might have, slowed me down, but I won't even say that because some games I just didn't play my best, which is human nature. But I just feel like there's that, and then people want to talk about the conferences, okay, whatever. But, when I played in ranked games, against ranked teams, I put up big numbers against them and proved that it doesn't matter who that I'm playing against. I'm a great player on the field.
And let's go finally, Rich Clark, the College Football Playoff Executive Director, and the possibility of a 14-team playoff. This was him speaking at a Sports Business Journal's Intercollegiate Athletics Forum.
Commissioners are going to look at it, right? They're going to step back. We're going to give them some options and some other things that they could do. But in the end, they're going to look at whether 14 is a better number. I'm sure they'll look at it. That doesn't mean that that's the foregone conclusion. But after they see the results of this season and this playoff, they're going to say, how can we make it even better? Not just better for the playoff, like I said, as a standalone event, but for all of college football and the regular season. And we'll make some good decisions on that, I'm sure. But we have to see how this playoff goes and then do a really analytical look at it and go, how can we get better? And I know 14 will be one of the options. Staying at 12 will be one of the options. And then there's probably some other options in between or maybe on the periphery of that. But we're going to look at everything and see what can we do to make it better.
Yeah, I'll tell you what their analytics are. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. That's what it is right there. They're going to keep on expanding this sucker because there's more money to be made. All right, let's fade that out because Ryan Botcher, I need my breaking news sounder. We have breaking news on the show.
We have breaking news on the Zach Gelb Show.
Perfectly worded by Adam Schefter. Shefty. Chapel Bill. I like that. 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick is finalizing a deal to become the new head coach at North Carolina. Sources tell Pete Thamel and Chris Lowe. Belichick is going back to school. Back to school. Back to school. To where his father served as an assistant coach in the 1950s. We could fade down the breaking news music and the sounder. Here's my first reaction, Marco. And we've talked about this now all throughout the week. I kind of find the wording still funny. He's finalizing a deal. It feels like he's been finalizing a deal all throughout the day. Is like you're finalizing a deal. So this is going to happen, but the deal still isn't finalized. So, I know that Schefter just put this out there, but how is it any different than where we were like 5 hours ago?
This is the weirdest courting I've ever seen for a high-profile coach in my life. I've never seen coming out from strange areas where the reports are, the way that they report it, the way that they're talking. This thing started where the resolution would be expected at some point this week, but they still are just in the talking phase. We were all over the map on this thing.
Yeah.
And it's Bill Belichick. You would think it would be quiet and then all of a sudden it would explode, or we knew exactly what was going on every step of the way. This is not just some guy getting hired at North Carolina. This is a 6-time Super Bowl winner. I've never seen a stranger courting, whatever you want to, marriage, that these two are wind up, that now it's going to be finalized. It's been the weirdest road I've ever seen.
It's bizarre. We will at some point tonight get a photo of Belichick, right, photoshopped in a Tar Heel hoodie or a polo or a visor. There will be some announcement tonight from UNC that this is a done deal, but still, Schefter just putting it, they're finalizing a deal. This is going to happen.
Again, yeah, I would think so, but it was also, when you say like Schefter was a little, it seemed like all the big-time reporters were slow on this whole thing to begin with, because they kept saying, like, as much as we were hearing the stuff trickling out of Carolina, it was, yeah, but there's so much more to do. So it was almost like the Carolina reports, maybe they were a little closer to the situation, or they were jumping the gun a bit, and the Schefters of the world, the Rappaports of the world were like, guys, there's a lot more to do, so that's why they were waiting to report. Either way, it's odd.
I know it is an NFL story, but it's also not an NFL story. So, like, it doesn't surprise me that UNC inside Carolina had it first today, because as being someone that has been on breaking news beats for college football, when I was at Temple, even though it's Bill and you run a program as I control every message, there's a lot of people that have their hands in the cookie jar in the college world more than people could imagine that get information and love to talk to people.
100%, but it's usually by 10, 15 minutes, not by 14 hours.
Fair.
That was the weird part. It's not, look, a story coming out from inside the school and 10 minutes later, Schefter has that makes the total sense. We're talking like 14 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours. Nothing was changing, and that didn't make any sense. That was the part that did. The Inside Carolina story that came out today was what, 5 hours ago?
Yeah, a while ago.
What took so long? You're telling me Schefter didn't see it and text somebody? You're telling me that some of the... So I get the idea that
and
they would
Schefter
have
had
it
other
first,
tweets throughout the day, but
he was on, and I saw him, and it was still like, guys, there's a lot more to do.
Nothing against whatsoever the website that put this out there. But for most of, for Inside Carolina, because they were right. And, they have 139,000 followers. Like they are... I'm not saying they're not credible, but for us, in the national landscape, when you see football news, it's just the way that it's not that other people can't get it, right? I've had stories and I've beat these guys, Rappaport and Schefter, who I like, and, I know them, but there's sometimes that you get information before them. But in terms of how we consume information, we are really in the line of, unless if we see it from Schefter, Rappaport, Pelissero, and Glazer, we usually don't believe it until one of those four get it. And it did take a while for these guys to confirm it.
Again, it's confirmation, but usually when something like that happens, we're talking within minutes or within a half hour. For it to go as long as it did, that's why everybody started to get skeptical of whether or not this was legit, because those guys are so tapped in, all the ones that you named, and there's a lot more too. Again, that aside, just the way this whole thing is still gone and the fact that it's still ongoing. Still is a little bit odd when you're considering that it's Belichick. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, well, he's also got to get out of his contract. He's a free agent. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So that's, again,
Omaha Productions.
Yeah, it's odd. I don't think he had to call Pat McAfee and say, can I take this job?
Omaha, I got to go.
It's a little odd the way this whole thing is kind of played out. And to be fair, it's a little odd Belichick going to North Carolina. That in and of itself is weird.
You could have gave me 1,000 guesses this time last year, and I don't know if I would have got UNC.
Zach, I got to be fair. When these reports first came out, I admit, the first thing I thought of was, it's North Carolina trying to show, look, there are people that are interested in this job, and Bill Belichick putting up a flag saying, guys, I still exist, so someone come get me. I never, ever in a million years thought that this thing would come to fruition from what? Thursday of last week when we first got wind of this? Never, ever did I think that this was coming to fruition.
So Jordan Schultz was one of the first bigger national names to kind of talk about this and report on this. Belichick has agreed to become the next head coach at the University of North Carolina. Multiple sources tell NFL on Fox, a new era in college football. So I'm not saying that means it's dunzo, but it's going to happen.
Again, all signs pointed to it all day long.
That's the most distinct one.
Yes. There's a lot less of the finalized, almost done, getting closer. That sounds more of the typical reports of Belichick is reportedly going to be the new head coach. Like it's simple wording, which is what you usually get from reporters as opposed to a lot of the mumbo jumbo.
Well, he was the first. Remember that earlier in the week it was Belichick has agreed. Now it's up to see if UNC is going to agree. It's like, hey, Marco, I agree you to pay me $1 million. Yeah, great.
Which is part of the reason that's why, some of the reporting, who agreed to what now? And then you got to go back, but there's still 400 pages worth of things they got to figure out. What? Can you call me when something's close? What are we doing here? What do you mean they agreed? Well, he still got to agree. A lot of it didn't make sense.
Okay. So this is from Matt Hayes, who is senior national college football writer for USA Today. I'm not going to tell you I'm really familiar with this work. So UNC's NIL package for football, I guess the last year was $4 million. What do you think they agreed to increase it to? From $4 million to what in order to get Bill Belichick?
I mean, maybe I'm crazy. I would say 20.
Marco Belletti from downtown. Yes. Sources tell UNC, according to Matt Hayes, that they'll increase their NIL package for football from $4 million to $20 million in effort to land Bill Belichick, the Chapel Bill.
You're not getting him cheap.
No,
he's not going there to go 3-9. Jeff Fisher, we're not going 7-9. I don't think he's going. I don't think
Fisher did.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he wants to do that. So I think he's going to try to set himself up. He wants to coach. This is obvious that Belichick just wants to be on the sideline, wants to do the X's and O's, wants to be there to be able to put the game plan, the scheme. He lives for it, but he lives for winning that. He doesn't live for just doing it and then to get his ass kicked. So I would imagine there's all kinds of stipulations, and if he gets what he wants, which is obviously what's going to happen, he's going to get players. You give him players, he will figure out ways to scheme up wins.
And also, give credit to Ali Connolly, because he was like one of the first guys to be on this story as well, and he had a lot of good context from the jump. Ian Rappaport's now saying former Patriot coach, let's see his wording, Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, will become the next coach at the University of North Carolina. Sources say the deal is done. So you got more distinct wording from Super Bowls to college football, just like Bill Walsh, just like Deion Sanders, now Belichick. So there you go on that. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Juan Soto has officially, according to John Heyman, passed his physical. So now the Mets deal is done.
I heard press conference Thursday. So if you want to get started on that.
I heard it at Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern?
I did, but I also think that may or may not be true because the winter meetings kind of wrap up tomorrow. So I feel like they probably want to get everybody back.
Let's do it next week.
Do they want to wait on a Friday dump? I don't know.
Well, let's do it next week. I got a flight, a train to catch tomorrow after the show to go to Army Navy Radio Row. And let's, if we can, I know the last time I went to a Met press conference to introduce someone, it did not go all that well because I asked Carlos Beltran, or I asked Brody Van Wagenen why didn't Joe Girardi get the job when they hired Carlos Beltran, which was the Beltran tenure didn't really last all that long. But can we get, Tuesday and Monday, 11 a.m. press conference so Zach Gelb could go?
I don't know, and it wasn't official. This is obviously, they needed to pass the physical first, which is, everybody had said that it was pretty much done. Heyman's got it, so it's obviously completely finished. I don't know if they get everything wrapped up in time for tomorrow.
Okay.
Especially with the winter meetings still going on. I mean, they're still there through tonight. Tomorrow morning is basically when they fly out.
Mm-hmm.
But do the Mets want to fly out early for this?
Do they do this over Zoom?
They could.
Mm-hmm.
I would think for $765 million.
Get your ass to the stadium.
Might want to show up in person to hold up the jersey.
Yeah.
Just for me. I would think.
And unlike the Yankees, we'll have a luxury box waiting for your family to enjoy a nice snack afterwards.
And no security guard, stopping your family from coming in. I would think with this type of signing, you could do Zoom. I would think that's low class. Get the guy there. If it means next week, then it's next week. Yeah. You need him holding the
Scott
jersey.
Boras is walking in,
whatever.
throwing around his you-know-what.
Whatever. The Mets need to show this is not just getting a free agent. This is not just, a big free agent. This is not just because you reset the market with the value of the dollar. You basically had a coup in New York.
Yeah.
You need to have this front and center. Don't do a Zoom.
All righty. Here's the latest update. I think we pretty much just covered it all anyway. But
hope so, because I didn't have any of these written. So we're going to go off the top of our head. Let's get to see what we got.
It's El Capitan, Marco Valetti, always telling you how it's done right.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Zach, you pretty much laid it out there. Unusual courting to say the least, but the Bill Belichick North Carolina rumors are true. Reports are he goes to the Tar Heels. First ever college job for Belichick as the 6-time Super Bowl winner, now trying his hand in the ACC. Red Sox reportedly adding a big lefty to the rotation, pick up Garrett Crochet from the White Sox in exchange for 4 prospects. 25-year-old, highly sought after he posted a 3.58 ERA in his 32 starts for Chicago this year. Other side of the bracket in the action for the NBA Cup tonight, you got the Knicks and Hawks, followed by the Warriors and the Rockets. Andrew Wiggins giving his thoughts on Golden State, trying to add a different type of title.
It's new. It's new, and it's something that guys want to win. It's another thing to, to try and compete for, to try and win. And to say you won the NBA Cup. It's a tournament. You get paid for it. You get paid even more if you win. A lot of things go into it. Who doesn't want to play in Vegas? It should be fun.
Meanwhile, Raptors likely to have to make do without Scotty Barnes for several weeks. That with a sprained ankle. Raptors 2-9 when Barnes missed 11 games earlier this season. I'm Marco Belletti.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Rock your body. this is Howie.
And this is Nick.
From the Backstreet Boys.
And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You have Sully in Vegas. I wonder who that is. Sully says, Zach, over under. 6 wins for Bill Belichick already in his first year at UNC. You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, it's a tough question to answer because we don't know who's going to be on the coaching staff, who's going to be on the roster. But I could just look at the opponents. TCU, Charlotte, Richmond, UCF, California, NC State, Clemson, Duke, Stanford, Virginia, Syracuse, Wake Forest. I've seen enough. It's Bill freaking Belichick. Yeah, I'll take the over. If you're telling me it's at 6, I'll take the over. That obviously bowl eligibility is 6, that he'll be able to get to 7. I saw Ralph Russo, who's covered college football for a long time, Associated Press, says this is a 3-year contract. It is a 3-year contract. Ralph Russo and Brendan Marks. It's a 3-year contract with UNC for $30 million. So this is the last stop, right, in the Bill Belichick coaching career? He turned 73 soon. He's 72 right now. So at the end of this deal, he's 76? Could he go coach somewhere in the NFL at 76, 77? Could he leave after a year? Sure. And maybe that's like, hey, you do this for a year, then an NFL team says, oh, yeah, Bill will, even though you won 6 Super Bowls now for some reason because you won a few games at UNC, we'll hire you. I guess it's still on the table. Who knows? But this is a fascinating one. And it's still kind of stunning that the next time we see Bill Belichick, it's going to be on a college football sideline. It's going to be at UNC. So shame on the Falcons for not hiring him last year. Jaguars, you didn't back channel to go bring him in. What are you doing? But Bill Belichick is off to Chapel Bill. I love that from Schefter. All righty, fun show today. Big thanks to Hickey. Big thanks to Xavier Guillory for joining us as well. Jeff Monken, Botcher, good job. Stu, good job. Devin McCourty's going to join us tomorrow. So he'll have good perspective on Bill Belichick. We'll talk to you then at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Bye-bye. We out. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.